I have never received a report with a result like this.
Is that good or bad, Your Honor?
For clarification, I want to find out, regardless of what Alex believed, wanted, desired, there is, in fact, real reason to have doubt because you admitted to that.
I've heard over the last couple of months different things. You know, he was wanting to, and then he didn't want to, and then other people tell him that he needs to get it looked at.
What was your relationship like with this other guy?
Mrs. Watts is here on behalf of her deceased son, Alex. Alex passed away a few months back, and Ms. Watts is here because she doubts that he fathered the defendant's 20-month-old child, Caden. Ms. Cheryl, on the other hand, is absolutely sure that Alex fathered her child.
I was received a phone call to come to a shooting where they said that my son was involved. When I got there, I didn't know at the time that my other son was there as well. My two sons went to visit a friend who had some type of altercation with some gentleman prior to my sons coming to visit their home. And when my two sons got there, they were ambushed and murdered.
That's so painful. It's the worst pain anyone can experience. Coupled with that, Mrs. Watts now has to live with the paternity doubt she has over Caden.
Every time you seen Alex, you seen me, you seen him, we were always together. We planned on having a family together, having that future together, but fortunately it was cut short.
How long were you in the relationship?
3 years on and off.
Okay. And so Caden is 19 months old?
Yes.
And so he did get to know his father.
Ms. Cheryl says that Alex never doubted that her son Caden belonged to him. She says they had a father and son relationship, and they were like two peas in a pod. She even has a video that shows the nature of that relationship.
Yeah, because like you don't hear what I'm saying? You mad at me now? You want to annoy me? I don't care.
So in your mind, as you see that, it's your feeling that he accepted this child as his own.
Yes, Your Honor. He did accept Caden as his own.
Hold up. What does she mean by blood test or not? Does that mean that there could be some reasonable doubt?
No. I'm saying that because, everybody has said their words and everybody feels some type of way about when it comes to Caden being Alex's child. I say blood test or not because to Alex, he didn't care to get a blood test. To him, Caden was his child.
Well, the issue was my son had went away for some time, and before he went away, he told me that Alexis was pregnant. And I guess this was during the time that they were on their breakup.
Oh, and this isn't hearsay. Mrs. Watts has evidence of this text message and tenders it in court. This means that Ms. Cheryl just lied in court when she said that there's no possibility that Caden belongs to another man.
That was my response because I told Alex I did have a one-night stand with somebody and cheated on him. I told him in the beginning. I want to say a week or two after I had the one-night stand, I took an at-home pregnancy test and I found out I was pregnant. I know it takes a little longer for the at-home pregnancy test to detect the pregnancy, so I did say I didn't know because I know what I did and Alex knows what I did, but I also do believe he is because I know what happened and I know at the time when it happened.
Is it just me or does Ms. Cheryl here look a little flustered? Anyway, the point is that regardless of the feelings Alex has for this child, there is a real reason to have doubt.
Is he a secret? He did not want nobody to know about the pregnancy.
Why is that?
Alex was a secretive person. He did not like people in his business. And at the same time, I didn't tell my family I was pregnant either. So we both decided to keep this a secret.
He was a private person.
And so you can see how your son may have said, let's keep this to ourselves?
Mrs. Watts says that Alex came to her house with the baby a few times, but he never for once mentioned that the baby is his child. However, he cared for the baby like it was his. Mrs. Watts says that Alex had a daughter and told everyone that the daughter was his, but he didn't do the same for Caden.
I didn't tell nobody when I was in labor with Caden, Your Honor.
And so Alex wasn't there either?
No.
No, yeah, and Alex didn't see the baby for 2 months.
So what's interesting is in the court papers, I see Caden's birth certificate. On the birth certificate, there is no father's name listed. Caden's last name is not your last name, and it's not Mr. Stewart's last name.
Okay, but why didn't she give the child Alex's last name if she knew that he was Alex's child? Well, Ms. Cheryl says that she just wanted to be sure and get a blood test first before changing his name to Alex's last name. That's not a very good explanation. Anyway, let's hear from Mrs. Watts' husband, Mr. Watts.
Yeah, we always hung out and did stuff together, and he never talked about no babies or nothing. It was like all this is new to me this year.
Oh, wait, so
he's never even met me before. We've never even met face to face for him to be able to have a say-so on that.
I'm talking about what Alex said. He never said nothing about no baby. If somebody got a child, they gonna say, well, this is my baby. Here, mama, look at my baby.
Wow. so it seems Alex also had some paternity doubts. Despite this, Ms. Cheryl still claims that the child belongs to Alex. The only way to get to the bottom of this is to check out the DNA test and see what it has to say.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Lita Watts and Caden is 0.006%. You are not related. Do you know where Caden's biological father is?
No.
Mr. Runles always believed that he couldn't have children because of a lifelong medical condition. However, that opinion changed when his partner had Ireland, a baby he now claims is his miracle baby. There's only one problem with that claim. The partner in question, Ms. Taylor, claims that it breaks her heart, but she is certain that Mr. Runles isn't the father of her baby.
Not in my heart.
Tell the
no.
court.
Well, he has I don't know what it's called.
Called a hypospadias.
Okay, can you describe that for the court?
All it is it's where the hole in the penis is in the wrong spot.
Okay.
Instead of being up top, it's more towards the bottom of the head. The doctor just said that it's a big possibility that I may never be able to have kids.
So Mr. Runles may be able to have kids, but the chances, according to his doctor, are uncertain. Nobody really knows for sure. That's a tough spot to be if you want to have children. Interestingly, Ms. Taylor was aware of this and has dated Mr. Runles for over 4 years. She says they tried for over 2 years and nothing happened. In fact, they'd planned to adopt a child if they couldn't have one. And then, suddenly, Ireland happened.
Family and, get out in the world. We had unprotected sex and we tried for so many times to have it. Nothing was working. So then I decided to go and do something different. And
Wait, what did you do? You have to be specific in court.
I had went and cheated on him with a guy I had actually known for a little while.
Oh, what did she tell you, Mr. Runles? Let's see where this story is going.
Did she tell you, Mr. Ronald?
Her original story, when I found out, because like I said, this is a miracle baby to me. This is, bottom line is, this don't work. If this is not my kid, I gotta go. There's not no more to it.
When you found out you were pregnant, who did you tell? The other guy you were pregnant, or did you tell Mr. Ronald?
I told them both, actually. I told the other guy on Facebook that I might be pregnant. It could be his baby. And I told him too.
But did you tell Mr. Runnels you cheated?
No, man.
No, I did not.
Mr. Runles says that on her Facebook, he found a message from Ms. Taylor telling the other dude that the child might be his. And that hurt him so bad that he felt like he had a heart attack. He says even right now his knees shake when he thinks about it.
Then, I was there.
And so at 22 weeks, you find this out, and yet you still stick by her.
Yes.
And you stick by the baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are there.
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you there when baby Ireland is born?
Yes, Your Honor. I was at the hospital. The other guy was not by our choice, but I requested to have a DNA test done at the hospital.
Especially as he thought Ireland was his miracle child. Ms. Taylor says she didn't want the DNA test because she doesn't want Mr. Runnels to leave her. That's a weird thing to say when she cheated on her partner with another man and then told the other man that he could be the father of her child. Despite this, Mr. Runles still loves Ireland and says he will keep on being her legal father.
And, she legally, I'm still on the birth certificate, and I'm not going to be taken off of it unless she decides to take me off of it.
So
Even
you
though
are
I
her-
knew that, there was a possibility still in my heart that I knew there was a possibility that she wasn't mine.
Mr. Runles obviously feels very deeply for this child and would want nothing more than to confirm that she is his. But that's not how it goes in paternity court. You could want a child to be yours with all your heart, and then the child ends up not being yours. It is horrible.
Of exactly what was going on. In my heart, knowing for so long that I've never had a kid. I've been trying to have a kid since I've been 18 years old, and it's just something I need to know.
And so
A lot is indeed on the line. Anyway, Ms. Taylor says she's convinced that Mr. Runles isn't the father because she sees a lot of the features of the other man in her baby's face.
I always
And it
get
just-
worried that he's going to leave me because you never know. He's been there this whole time.
But you now fear that Mr. Runnels will leave.
Yeah, because when
Oh no, it's gonna happen. I mean, if she's not mine, I gotta go. It's just bottom line.
You positive. You're done if this is not.
Yes.
You cannot stay in this relationship
No.
if Ireland is not your biological daughter.
It'll cause too many problems.
Wow, this is really a bind. The man who wants to have the child may not be the child's father, and the man who doesn't want the child could end up being her daddy. Aside from that, is Ms. Taylor really trying to tell us that she could see this man's features in the ultrasound pictures of a baby? Really? Is that even possible, let alone likely?
Well, we only known each other for almost a year. And then he came over one night and when to hang out, we hung out and it led into more than that. A week later, I took a pregnancy test. They both came up positive. And I told him not to get his hopes up on the first one because I didn't want to have him go thinking, oh yeah, I'm having a baby, and then I go to the hospital and I find out it's
Before
not
we get into that,
the
that's kind of
baby.
funny how Ms. Taylor says that he came over.
It shouldn't come as a surprise, but Ms. Taylor here doesn't sound so trustworthy. If she can cheat on a man who loves her like Mr. Runles does, what can she not do?
I was told that it happened outside of my house, in a park, somewhere outside.
I did. I told him that.
You did?
Yes, I
But
did.
in actuality, this man
Actually-
was
In
in
my
your
house,
home.
in
Yes.
my bed.
Since we're telling the truth now,
Right.
the truth,
Right.
was this really a one-night stand,
It
or
really was.
did it happen more than once?
It was honestly my right hand to God. It was only one time only, and that's the only time we ever had it. And then
Here's the thing. If you are coming to court, try to get your story straight. Even if you're lying, try to line your lies up. That way, you won't have to backtrack all over the place like Ms. Taylor is doing now. At this point, you might even hope the child isn't Mr. Runless because he doesn't deserve to be with someone like her. But then again, Ireland is his miracle child. Or so he says.
match his.
It's like,
but me and
like I
him had
said,
brown
she looks
eyes.
just like me. Look at her. Butt
She
chin,
had-
my big old elephant ears.
And
when
this
he
is
was a kid.
Ireland.
Smile.
You believe she looks like you.
100%.
So, Miss Taylor, does she also look like the other guy to you?
Yes, Your Honor, she
He-
does.
We've heard a lot. It's time to get to the bottom of this matter and see who is Ireland's father. Is it Mr. Runless or is it someone else?
Mr. Runnels, you are her father.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh, it is a
Made me
miracle,
nervous
baby.
for a minute, but that's
It really is his baby.
great.
It's a miracle, baby.
Ms. Gates says that a day before her son passed away, he told her that he wasn't the son of the defendant's 3-year-old daughter Alexis and 16-month-old son Nicholas. Ms. Rembold, the defendant, insists that the plaintiff's son, Nicholas Gates, is indeed the father of her child and says that the DNA test will prove the case.
It's not the dad.
I am here to represent my son Nicholas because he can't be here. I remember him telling me point blank the day before he passed away that he was not the father of Nicholas.
But yet he told me differently right before he died. He had told me that he didn't care regardless, that he felt in his heart that
No, he
he
didn't.
was the father of my child.
Well, this seems pretty straightforward. Ms. Gates says her son told her one thing, and she's using this as a basis for the paternity doubt. Ms. Rembold, on the other hand, says she was told another thing, and Ms. Gates is absolutely sure her son believed that he wasn't Nicholas's father.
Deep down.
I could tell he was being very honest. I could see the sadness in his face when he told me that.
Also, Mr. Gates and I were also fighting at the time. We had a rough relationship, so Mr. Gates was going to say what he had to his mom.
What would he say to you?
That he felt that this child was his, and even if the child was not his, Mr. Gates would still stepped up and he would have been a father.
Of
Mr.
course he
Gates
would
was a
step
good
up.
father.
Well, Ms. Rembold doesn't sound very convincing. Why would the departed Mr. Gates even have a paternity doubt in the first place? There must have been some reason for that, right?
To you at all, or was there doubt?
Yes, there was some doubt. Mr. Gates with Alexis, if we would argue, he would say, go find your daughter's father. With Nicholas, I had found out I was pregnant, and he told me he would not be able to live with knowing I was pregnant with another man's baby. And then right before Mr. Gates had passed away, Mr. Gates had told me that he felt in his heart that Nicholas was his child.
It's not what he told me.
That doesn't answer the question, though. Anyway, let's move on. What exactly did Mr. Gates tell his mother before passing on?
Said that baby is not mine, and that's all he said. And he was just very distressed.
And he meant Nicholas.
Yes.
What about Alexis?
When Alexis was born, Your Honor, she was very dark complected, and he had every doubt possible that she was not his, due to the circumstances of them breaking up, getting back together.
Ah, so there's the crux of the issue. Mr. Gates and Ms. Rembold broke up lots of times and got involved with other people, presumably without protection. And that's why there are even paternity doubts at all.
When I first met Mr. Gates, he was in a relationship. I was engaged to get married to somebody else. The day we met, we just started off as friends, and that same night, Mr. Gates came back to my house, and he moved in immediately. But I didn't expect me and Nick to move as fast as we did, and it did.
Okay, it's starting to heat up. Ms. Gates clearly doesn't like Ms. Rembold at all, and that might be motivation for her to embellish what her son told, or might be motivation for her son to lie to her about who he thinks is the father of Ms. Rembold's children.
I was older than Nicholas, but
She's an older woman. Cougar.
So how soon after you and Mr. Gates started your relationship were you pregnant with Alexis?
It was Alexis that there was doubts. Mine and Mr. Gates' relationship was very rocky. Mr. Gates would love the attention from other women, and he thought he was slick and would always get caught cheating.
No wonder there are paternity doubts. This happened before Alexis was born and also happened before Nicholas was born. That's why there are so many questions over who the father of those children is.
You did.
Yes, she did.
If you did sleep with the ex during the breakup, why is it that you don't agree with the fact that there could be doubt?
I mean, I don't blame her for having doubt. When we first found out I was pregnant with Alexis, again, me and Mr. Gates were cheating on each other. And I had told him I was pregnant, and at first he was like, is it mine?
Ms. Rembold says she slept with her ex around the same time she conceived of Nicholas, but she argues that it was protected, but the protection did break.
Are you serious? I didn't even know this.
Ms. Rimbold, you do understand that if the condom breaks, you've basically exposed yourself.
I had also, Your Honor, I had ran into the other gentleman that could have possibly been Alexis's father. I showed the other gentleman the picture. He says no.
Well, that's true. But despite the jokes, this is a really important matter for Ms. Rembold. She's lost the father of 2 of her children, and she's unfortunately alone in the world.
I've lost everything. He used to take care of the kids, and I worked. I've had to move since the passing. I lost everything.
So today's results truly mean everything to you, because having that clarity will hopefully encourage Ms. Gates to help with the children.
Unfortunately, Ms. Rembold's feelings cannot wish the paternity questions away. It is still there, and Ms. Gates still feels the same way.
My son loved her so much that he would watch the kids knowing she'd be going out with this man. That's how much he loved her and loved those kids, and it killed him.
So you moved this guy into the house with you and Nate?
And they both stayed.
Okay, and so which one were you intimate with during this time?
Both of them, Your Honor.
That's just nasty. It's time to round this up and see who the father of the child is. Since there's no blood card for Mr. Nicholas Gates, the DNA test will be to see if the kids are genetically related to Mr. Gates' surviving parent, Ms. Gates.
It has been determined by this court the percentage of relatedness between Ms. Robin Gates and Alexis Gates is 98.6%.
The second result is a bit more complicated. Judge Lauren says the results are so complicated that she has to call the lab to see what's going on.
Between Ms. Robin Gates and Nicholas Rimbold is 64.6%. What does that mean?
We then compared Alexis and Nicholas to see whether they were full or half siblings. And the results of that siblingship test showed with a 99.99995% likelihood that Alexis and Nicholas do indeed share the same.
Ms. Walker says before her son Delonte passed away, she had doubts that he was the biological father of his supposed son, Delonte Royal. She says that her son also shared those doubts with her the day before his passing. Ms. Royal, on the other hand, claims that her son is indeed Delonte's child.
Well, Your Honor, my son was tragically murdered. The day of his passing, my son left something behind with me, and that was his doubt. And I am here today to get the doubt taken care of. Her child, her son, I don't know if that's my grandchild or not.
Ms. Royal says that there is absolutely no reason to doubt that her son is Delonte's. She says she has been completely loyal to him, and no one else can say that they could be her son's father.
My family, we love her son. We love him, but we just can't go all the way. We can't be 100% there. I remember one day, to fuel his doubts, they got in an argument. He seen text messages between her and a guy around the time when she conceived, and so he doubted.
So if that's true, it means Delonte had some valid reasons for thinking that this child belonged to someone else. Here is Ms. Royal's version of events.
I'm pregnant. I don't have nothing else to do but sit in his house. So when he came in the house, I started going through his phone, which I didn't find anything. So after that, he caught me. Yes, he did. He said, if you think I'm cheating, you can get your stuff and leave. Well, I was trying to get my stuff and leave. I got my phone. He grabbed my phone to see who I was calling. It was an older dude. I called him my brother. He's just a person I looked up to also.
Ms. Walker says that's not how it was portrayed to her. She says she was told that Ms. Royal was intimate with this person, and it wasn't just a matter of calling her shorty.
He embraced that child. He kissed the baby on the forehead and everything. She asked him, she said, Delonte, do you want a DNA test?
Right in the hospital?
Yes. He laid his head on my shoulder. He said, Mom, I think I'm gonna throw up when he see the baby. And so when she asked him, did he want a DNA test, he looked around, seen her family members, he told her, no.
Oh, that's understandable. So in front of everyone, he didn't want to embarrass her or seem disrespectful, but later he said that he needed a test. Ms. Royal says she knows nothing about this because she asked him twice, and she's sure he didn't want one. Mrs. Walker then asks why he didn't sign the birth certificate if he was so sure he was the father.
Your Honor, he didn't sign it because he didn't have his ID. When we kept telling him he was being irresponsible, that was not my fault. He even got his dad's first name and middle name.
Okay.
I would have gave him his last name, but he did not not have that ID. So that was not my fault.
So do you believe he would have signed that birth certificate if he had brought his ID?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe it.
Do you guys really believe that? Or do you believe Delonte was just making up excuses not to sign that birth certificate before a DNA test? Anyway, it's time to round this up and find out if Delonte is truly the father of Delonte Royal.
It has been determined by this court between Ms. Monique Walker and Delonte Royal, 99.99%.
Period.
You are related.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
Period.
A 29 years old woman, Ms. Bronson, brings a man, Mr. Roberts, whom she has known all her life to be her father, to Judge Lauren's courtroom. Mr. Roberts claims that he has reasons to believe that he's not her real father, that another man, Mr. Banks, who is also present in the courtroom, is her real father.
Ms. Bronson, you have always known the defendant to be your biological father, but have opened your case against him to prove paternity because he now claims he has reason to deny he is your father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Bronson said she believed Mr. Roberts is her father. She said he's the only father she has known for the past 29 years. Mr. Roberts said he has raised Ms. Bronson as his own daughter. He said he didn't know anything about Mr. Banks throughout that time. He said he has been there for her, paid all the child support that was required of him. He noted that his name wasn't on the birth certificate.
Your Honor, I feel Mr. Roberts is my father. He's the only father I've known for 29 years. That's my father. Period. I know him my whole life. He the only one I call my father. That's who I grew up known as my father. So Mr. Roberts is my biological father. That's it.
Ms. Bronson said she has had no reason to doubt that Mr. Roberts was her real father until 2009. She said she got a phone call from her mother. That was when her mother introduced her to Mr. Banks. She told her it was the other man that could also be her real father. Ms. Bronson said she exchanged contact with Mr. Banks, that the whole details of how they started talking with each other is a little bit fuzzy.
Yes, Your Honor, up until 2009.
What happened in 2009?
I had a phone conversation with my mother. Then she mentioned Mr. Banks, and she said, "Don't you remember the guy that I told you who thought he was your father?"
Ms. Bronson said she kept the whole ordeal with Mr. Banks to herself. She didn't tell Mr. Roberts, but she eventually opened up to Ms. Blair. Ms. Blair was Mr. Roberts' fiancée. She said she had a good relationship with Ms. Blair. That's why she was able to confide in her at the time.
So all of a sudden, a man named Mr. Banks comes to the picture, and this man could be your father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you say anything to Mr. Roberts? Because at the time, you believed he was your biological father.
No, Your Honor, I didn't say anything to Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Roberts said he found out through Ms. Blair. He said he was kept in the dark about the whole ordeal. He said he also spent 8 months in jail for unpaid child support. Some members of the audience exclaimed. He said he's $75,000 in arrears. He said shortly after Ms. Blair broke the news to him that there's a possibility that Ms. Bronson is not her biological daughter.
Take me to the day you found this out.
A few years ago, Miss Blair told me that she needed to talk to me about something, and that's when I found out. I was kept in the dark about all this.
Mr. Roberts said he was bewildered when he heard the news. Mr. Banks, on the other hand, said he was told he could be father of Ms. Bronson when she was around 6 to 7 years old. He said he was invited to a park where Ms. Bronson and her mother were, and he was told that he's the father of Ms. Bronson.
I was not expecting to hear that. It really shook me after all these years. My thing is, if the mother knew or Ms. Banks knew of somebody, why didn't somebody say something? I was the last to know about everything. And if other people knew, they should have said something. We could have dealt with this issue 20 years ago.
Mr. Banks said he believed at the time that Ms. Bronson could be his daughter because of the resemblance between her and some of his family members. Mr. Roberts said he found out when Ms. Bronson was around 19 years old. Ms. Bronson interrupted and said it was not true, that she was 20, going to 21 at the time. She said her mother told her the story of meeting Mr. Banks at the park when she was 7 years old.
Did you believe her?
I believed it, and I said she probably can because of the resemblance of my family members at that age that she was.
Mr. Roberts, how old was Ms. Bronson when you found out that you potentially could not be her biological father?
I do believe, Your Honor, she was 19.
Mr. Banks said he was not aware that Mr. Roberts existed. He said he wasn't aware he was paying child support and going to jail for it either. He said Ms. Bronson's mother only mentioned that the man she had married at the time could be the father. Mr. Roberts said he didn't know anything about Mr. Banks. He said he married Ms. Bronson's mother 2 months after she was born.
She said, well, she could be a possibility because she resembled my sister when she was young a little bit.
And you don't remember that either, Miss Bronson?
No, Your Honor, I don't remember that at all.
And so, Mr. Banks, did you know Mr. Roberts existed and that he had been paying child support
No,
and
I
going to jail and fighting through all of this responsibility?
No, I didn't.
Mr. Roberts said if he had known then that Mr. Banks was in the picture, he would have discontinued the relationship. Ms. Bronson said she attended Thanksgiving at Mr. Banks' mother's house in 2011, and she didn't tell Mr. Roberts. She said she didn't feel comfortable telling him that it wasn't her job as a daughter to do that. Only DNA results can reveal who the real father is.
Mr. Roberts, you are not the father.
She's still my daughter. I love you. You're always gonna be my daughter.
The next result reads, Mr. Banks, you are the father. Do you want to be a part of her life?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Miller has summoned Mr. White to Judge Lauren's courtroom to prove he's not her biological father, even though Mr. White has played the role of her father all her life. The man she claims is her biological father is outside the courtroom waiting to be called. Mr. White said Ms. Miller revealed to him just 2 weeks ago that he's not her real father. He believes he's the real father and he will prove it.
Ms. Miller, you've summoned the defendant, Mr. White, to court to prove to him that he is not your biological father, even though he has believed he's your father your entire life.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Miller said she spent time with both men simultaneously while growing up. That she called both of them dad while growing up. She said her mother told her then that the other man, Mr. Wright, had a higher possibility of being her real father. She said she knew this since she was a teenager. She said both men were oblivious of each other up until 2 weeks ago.
I was raised around both men, but mainly around Mr. Wright. I spent most time with Mr. Wright. I used to go over to his house twice out the month, and I hardly spent any time with Mr. White.
Ms. Miller said she felt selfish because she didn't tell either of them. She said she had to build up the nerve to call them and disclose the information. She said when she broke the news, Mr. White went radio silent. She said because her mother told her that she doesn't really know who her real father is. She said she had been living a lie for 30 years, that she was told she had 2 fathers.
Well, like I said before, I felt selfish because I didn't tell either of them, but I had to build up the nerve to actually call them, and I addressed both of them. Hey, Dad. And I took a deep breath and I was like, I want you to prove that you're my dad.
Mr. White said that in the 30 years he had known Ms. Miller, he was never aware that she was also calling another man dad. He said when he got the phone call from Ms. Miller 2 weeks ago, he wondered where she got the information from after over 30 years. He said somebody could have told him long ago, but nobody did. The entire courtroom started clapping.
Mr. White, Ms. Miller's 30 years old. You weren't aware all of these years that she was calling another man dad as well?
Nope, I don't even know who he is.
So the entire relationship, this is your little girl. This is your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. White said he was with Ms. Miller's mom when she was born. He was with her every other night, even 8 years after she was born. He said he's still trying to figure out when and how Mr. Wright got into the picture. He said they lived together as a family until Ms. Miller was 8 years old. Ms. Miller said she can't recall living with Mr. White as a family, that her memory from there is guarded.
How did he get in the Miller?
And you still have no real information.
I still don't believe.
You've never seen this other man.
I know, not as I know of I am.
Ms. Miller said her mom kept both men apart, that she knew that when she visited either of them, she wasn't allowed to mention the other one. She said she wasn't told, that it was an unwritten rule, that she picked up on cues from what her mom did. Even the judge was baffled on how the mother was able to handle both men without them ever clashing with each other.
That they were kept apart. How did you manage that? I mean, you had things at school. No, did you not?
No, well,
how did that happen that they weren't both there?
I think he probably wasn't invited to anything because she was dating him or he wasn't, and vice versa. I think that
Ms. Miller said she didn't really call Mr. White from time to time because she didn't have his phone number. With glistened eyes, she apologized to Mr. White. She said during that time she kept convincing herself that Mr. Wright is her real father, and this development affected her relationship with Mr. White.
What happened on Father's Day? Your mother would just have you call both men?
Well, on Father's Day, I never really had Mr. White's number like that. I didn't call him all the time, and he never had my number. I do want to apologize to Mr. White because I knew exactly where he was.
Mr. Wright was invited into the courtroom. He said he had never met Mr. White up until today. He said that he's Ms. Miller's father, that he has been in her life for 30 years. Ms. Miller said she felt like she was living double lives, that this affected her social lives. She said she can't post pictures of events that she partook in, like barbecues at Mr. Wright's family house. She did all these things not to cause any drama.
Have you ever seen or met Mr. White?
No.
You do realize at this point, Mr. Wright, that Mr. White believed over the last 30 years that he is Ms. Miller's biological father.
I'm her father. I've been in her life for 30 years.
Ms. Miller said she loved both men and that she was afraid of the outcome back then. She said she's closer to Mr. Wright's side of the family. Mr. Wright said when he got the call, he was shocked. Ms. Miller said neither of them were on her birth certificate. She said she looked more like Wright's family member. 2 photos were submitted showing resemblances between Ms. Miller and both men. Only the DNA results can resolve this issue.
Ms. Miller's biological father is Mr. White.
Mr. Webb drags Mrs. Forrest, who left him for dead when he was in a coma, to Judge Lauren's courtroom. He claims he's the father of her daughter. Ms. Forrest, alongside her husband, believes that Mr. Webb is not the father, and they want to put an end to all the drama. Mr. Webb said he intends to fight for full custody once he discovers he's the real father. Mr. Forrest said he's the father, and that ain't happening.
Mr. Webb, you have been waiting 2 years for this day. You claim the defendant, Mrs. Forrest, left you for dead only to find out once you got out of a coma that she was pregnant and that the baby could be yours or her husband's.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Forrest said she met Mr. Webb when her husband encountered some trouble. She said she started a sexual relationship with Mr. Webb and they were having unprotected sex. Mr. Webb gave a different version of events. He said they were in love at the time, before he went on life support. Ms. Forrest interjected. Mr. Webb said when he got out from the hospital, he got a call that Ms. Forrest was pregnant.
My husband got in some trouble and I ended up meeting Mr. Webb through one of my friends. We hit it off and then I ended up leaving Mr. Forrest for Mr. Webb.
Mr. Webb said Ms. Forrest told him that there was a possibility he's the father of her daughter. Mr. Webb said he was suspicious that Ms. Forrest was seeing other men because of the discrepancies in her clock in time at work and paychecks, that there was missing time that was not accounted for.
Was my child.
She told you a possibility?
Yes, ma'am.
So that means she was admitting that she also had slept with other people?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you think the other person was just her husband?
At the time, no, Your Honor.
Ms. Forrest said that she didn't sleep with anyone else besides her husband and Mr. Webb. Mr. Webb presented a letter he got from his mother when he was on life support. He said at the time that Ms. Forrest had moved into a motel with Mr. Forrest. Mr. Forrest said it happened 3 days after Mr. Webb went into a coma, that Mr. Webb had broken up with Ms. Forrest.
Were you sleeping with anyone else besides Mr. Webb and your husband?
No, Your Honor.
Not during that time?
That's a lie,
But when
Your
you
Honor.
called Mr. Webb and said, I'm pregnant, you did say, and there's a possibility.
Which I didn't get back to with Mr. Forrest until after Travis had done left, or Mr. Webb has done left.
Mr. Webb said Ms. Forrest was in a motel with Mr. Forrest a day after he went on life support. The entire courtroom jeered. Ms. Forrest said they'd already broken up at the time. Mr. Forrest said he had been talking with Ms. Forrest about getting back together before then. Ms. Forrest said she tried to see Mr. Webb when he was on life support, but his mother didn't allow her.
I had ended up on life support.
So this is a statement from your mom?
That is a statement from my mom. And he was there the very next morning in a motel with her.
Is that true?
We were already broke up. We've done called it quits. We done called it everything.
Me and my wife had already started talking back.
Mr. Webb recounted again that Ms. Forrest called him after he got out of the hospital that she was pregnant, and there was a possibility that he could be the father. He said this happened in August. Mr. and Mrs. Forrest refuted this, and both said they found out about the pregnancy in September.
Which I loved Mr. Webb at the time, but we were...
You loved him?
Well, I mean...
So when you realized you were pregnant, when exactly did you realize you were pregnant?
The middle of September.
That is lie, Your Honor.
Because I didn't know at the time I was pregnant.
Mr. Forrest said Ms. Forrest had earlier told him that there was a chance he was not the father. Ms. Forrest said she's now sure that Mr. Forrest was the father because she calculated the time she gave birth and counted the weeks backwards, and it ended during the period she was only having sex with Mr. Forrest.
There's a month discrepancy. You say September, you say August.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when you got the news, did you immediately think you're the father?
Well, she had told me ahead of time that I may not be the father, but there was a chance that I was the father.
Mr. Webb said he had not been able to see the daughter since she was born. Ms. Forrest said they've set up multiple dates for that, on Mr. Webb's term. Mr. Webb said he used his last $80 to put gas inside his car, drove all the way from Illinois, but Ms. Forrest had changed her phone numbers and blocked him on Facebook. He said Ms. Forrest has blocked every channel of communication.
But he
Who's
wasn't
on the birth certificate?
My husband is.
Of course.
You are. Well, yes, and you would be presumed to be the father anyway. A child born to a marriage, into a marriage, the husband is presumed to be the father.
I've took care of her since the day she was born.
Ms. Forrest said she was afraid that if Mr. Webb sees her daughter, he could run away with her and she wouldn't be able to get her back. Mr. Forrest said when Ms. Forrest contacted Mr. Webb about the child, he said he didn't care. Mr. Webb, with tears in his eyes, said it was a lie. Mr. Forrest said he will fight Mr. Webb for full custody of his daughter. Only the DNA results can settle this issue.
That her biological father is Mr. Webb. Be clear, you did not just cheat him. You cheated her.
Ms. Whittier brings Mr. Reed to court. She claims that Mr. Reed is the father of her 22-month-old son. She said the doubts surrounding paternity have led to constant fighting in their relationship. She wants to prove he's the real father and save her family from falling apart. Mr. Reed said it is medically impossible for him to be the real father of the child. He said he's haunted with doubts every time he sees the child.
Ms. Whittier, you say that you are sure Mr. Reed is the father of your 22-month-old son, Lucas. But the defendant's paternity doubts have led to constant fighting and tension in your relationship. You desperately hope to prove he is the father to save your family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Whittier said if not for the doubts concerning the paternity of her child, that she and Mr. Reed would be married. She said everything started when they were arguing one day, and she told Mr. Reed that how sure was he that the child is even his. She said it to end the argument, that she never doubted it, that she has regretted it ever since.
Where do you think the two of you would be right now?
I think we would be married, moving on with our lives, getting away from the conflict that constantly drags our family down.
Really? And that conflict is all based upon a paternity issue?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Whittier said she met Mr. Reed when he tried to save her toddler, whom he thought was drowning. Mr. Reed narrated the whole ordeal in a funny way, and Ms. Whittier giggled all through the entirety of it. Mr. Reed said the toddler was adorable and that he loved her. Judge Lauren even commented that it was cute.
He tried to save my toddler that he thought was drowning. He didn't realize she could swim.
Oh, that's cute. Good reflexes, Mr. Reed.
It was a baby, and she was adorable, cute little stubby thing running around the pool in a little swimmer diaper.
Ms. Whittier said they had dinner together that same night, and they didn't see each other till about a week later. She said she called him, and they end up spending the next month together. She said Mr. Reed left. He returned to Tennessee. She said it broke her heart and her daughter's heart. She said he was gone for about 6 weeks.
And so after that, you obviously introduced yourself to your real-life superhero.
Yes, we had dinner later that night and didn't see each other for about a week. And finally, I decided, well, give him a call.
Ms. Whittier said she went to get Mr. Reed after they started missing each other. Mr. Reed said he also packed his things and went down to Georgia. They built a home for themselves there. Ms. Whittier said he moved in mid-September. and she got pregnant in the first week of November. Mr. Reed said he had no doubt then that the child was his.
I don't want it to turn bad. And so you went to get him?
We did. I was there before the sun come up.
So you packed up and jumped in the car?
Yeah, we jumped in the car and I headed to Georgia.
And you headed to Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
And so you all made a home there?
We did.
We did.
Ms. Whittier said the conflict started when Mr. Reed's ex-girlfriend started telling him that what if the pregnancy is not his? Ms. Whittier said this led to some arguments, and coincidentally at the time, her ex-boyfriend sent some vulgar text messages to her. Mr. Reed found them, and he thought there was something going on between both of them. Mr. Reed said he moved in with his ex during the time of the pregnancy.
When did the plot twist come?
With his ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
The conflict started between me and her. Well, then she starts whispering in his ear, oh, well, what if it's not yours? There was some arguments.
There were some arguments?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Reed said that Ms. Whittier's ex sent a sex video to her phone. It contained two people having sex. He thought at first that it was Ms. Whittier and the ex in the video. He said he later became more disgruntled as to why Ms. Whittier was still in communication with her ex. Ms. Whittier said Mr. Reed moved in with his ex after seeing the video, who then tried to convince him that the pregnancy is not his.
I told her, I was like, why are you, I don't mind if you talk to him, but if he's going to send you videos like this, I told her, no, that's not okay.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean.
Did you believe it was the ex and Ms. Whittier in the video?
I think that's what he thought, and I
didn't
tried.
figure it was.
Ms. Whittier said she had some health complications which led to a blood clot, and she was told that her baby may not survive. She called Mr. Reed and told him. Mr. Reed said he went to meet her, and he was there for her despite the doubts he had concerning the... Mr. Fritz appears in court. He claims he has found his long-lost daughter who was taken from him over 30 years ago. He said he found Ms. Agee on Facebook, whom he believed is her daughter. Ms. Agee said she knows who her biological father is, and she will prove once and for all that it's not Mr. Fritz.
Mr. Fritz, you state that over the last 30 years you have searched to find your biological daughter, who you claim was taken from you as a child. However, just 4 months ago, this 3-decade search came to an end when you found Ms. Agee, whom you believe to be your daughter, on Facebook.
Ms. Agee said she's adamant because Mr. Fritz was not on her birth certificate. She said the man on her birth certificate wasn't her biological father. He was just married to her mother at the time. She said she knew who her real father was. She said she started asking questions when she was about 8 years old. She said her grandmother told her that real father was Buster.
Mr. Fritz is not your biological father.
Well, first off, Your Honor, he's not on my birth certificate. The guy that's on my birth certificate was not my biological father. He was married to my mother when I was born, but I do know who my biological father is. I was about 8 or 9 years old. I started asking questions about who my real father was, and my grandmother was the one who raised me.
Ms. Agee said she met Buster. He spent some time with her. He was excited to meet her. He told her he was her father. He didn't see or hear from him till she was about 11 years old. He called and said he wanted to be in her life. He didn't show up either. She said this hurt her very much.
I spent a couple hours with him. He told me he was my dad. He was excited to see me. He was going to be in my life. Well, I didn't see him after that. I think I was 11 years old. He called, and he wanted to be in my life. And I was like, okay, that's fine with me. I had a Christmas play the next day.
Ms. Agee said she tried reaching out to Buster when she was 17. She had her first child and got married, and also when she had her second child when she was 18, that she wanted her kids to have a relationship with their grandfather. She went over to his sister's house and she told him that Buster will contact her. She said she hasn't heard from him since, and she's almost 35 years old.
Come to our Christmas play and, want to be part of my life. I said, that's fine. He didn't show up. I was hurt. My biological father wasn't around. He wasn't in my life, so that hurt me.
And you always believed that man was your biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Fritz said he searched for her for over 30 years. Ms. Agee disagrees. She said if he really looked for her, he would have found her. Mr. Fritz said he was incarcerated before, that when he was transferred to another camp, he told his friend to notify Ms. Agee's family. He said he escaped to go see his daughter when she was 2 months old.
I looked for you for 30 years, Angel.
If you did, you would have found me.
Tell me about this 30-year search and why you strongly believe you are Miss Agee's biological father.
I got sentenced and incarcerated, and when I was being moved from one camp to another, I met a friend of mine. I said, hey man, when you get it back in town, would you run by and let Angel's family know that I've been transferred?
Mr. Fritz presented some photos to the court, showing Ms. Agee sitting on his father's lap when she was 2 years old. Ms. Agee said that she was the person in the picture, but she didn't remember the events. Mr. Fritz said she used to come stay with them back then. Ms. Agee said she didn't remember.
I don't.
You acknowledge, Miss Agee, that that's you.
That's me. That's me.
When those pictures were taken, she's about 3 years old. She come down and stay with me, and I was working. And
I don't recall that. I remember my grandmother. I remember staying with my grandmother.
You may not remember it, and
Mr. Fritz said when he went looking for Ms. Agee, their trailer was gone. The neighbors said they've moved, and they didn't know where. He said he went to the courthouse to search for records for anything that might tell him where they went. Ms. Agee said he's lying. She said that the town was a small town and people talked. She said he didn't look hard enough.
And I want to find my kids. I'm going to find them, regardless.
I didn't stop.
Regardless.
Very next move, I went to the courthouse. I went to the courthouse, started searching records. I looked under her family's name. I looked under the name that I knew she was carrying, which was Dial. I looked under that name, and there was nothing in the court records.
Ms. Agee said she's angry at Mr. Fritz because he says he's her biological father. That why wasn't he there when she was growing up, and he's now showing up after 35 years. The judge laid out some legitimate concerns that might have hampered Mr. Fritz's search. The courtroom clapped.
Look for me hard enough to find me when a guy that's supposed to be my biological dad found me.
And do you understand that the circumstances that led to one man finding you there could be a separate set of circumstances that were presented to him in his search? Or maybe there were ways that he could have searched harder or deeper.
Ms. Agee started crying that she has been hurt all her life and she doesn't want to experience it again. Mr. Fritz went over and hugged her. He said he loved her. Mr. Fritz said he doesn't care what the paper says, that he will be there for Ms. Agee. Ms. Agee said she was raised by her grandmother. She didn't have a mother or a father growing up. Only the DNA results can heal their broken hearts.
I am her
Mr.
daddy.
Fritz, you are her father.
Yes! That's what I'm talking about.
He was not the only man that I had slept with.
Miss Thompson, your daughter?
Yes, she's known all her life. When my daughter would go to his house, most of the time she'd be there with his wife and kids. That's why she was crazy about his wife. His kids, those are like her siblings.
Ms. Hicks claimed that the sins of her past were the reason she was present in court. She wanted to prove this to the defendant, Mr. Smith, that he was the father of her child with the hopes of saving her relationship. She opened her case like this.
Ms. Hicks, you say the sins of your past have brought you into court today to save your relationship. You are petitioning the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your 3-month-old daughter, Honesty.
I know I've only slept with him, and I know who my children belong to.
Wow, even her blood sister doesn't believe the baby belongs to Mr. Smith. I wonder where it all went wrong. Before Judge Lauren got to ask any questions, Ms. Hicks's sister jumped in and told the judge that Ms. Hicks had been sleeping with several people.
I got something to say. She's telling false lies, okay? I know for a fact that he was not the only one she was
in the
sleeping with.
same bed with me when I'm sleeping with these people. I get.
How long have I been your sister?
I get.
Okay. Anyways, you know, they was staying with me for some time, okay? From what I know, my sister's a cheater. She been like that her whole life, okay?
Now, I wasn't expecting to hear that. If Mr. Smith can't have kids, how can he be the child's father? Something is definitely not right. After telling the judge he was incapable of having kids, the judge then asked if he had ever told Ms. Hicks about the condition. This was what happened.
Did you inform Ms. Hicks about this when you all were in a sexual relationship?
No, Your Honor. He never informed me about any of this. When he did tell me, this came up like 2 months after Honesty was born. Like, she's living proof that you can have kids. I didn't make this baby myself.
And there you have it. Mr. Smith drops the bomb and tells the judge why he really feels the baby is not his. Here's the funny thing. Mr. Smith claimed it was Ms. Hicks's sister that told him everything she was doing behind his back. As you would expect, the judge has to ask her why she spilled the beans.
Why would you do that?
Y'all don't know my sister like I do, okay? And besides, David is a sweet person. You know what I'm saying? I think he deserves to know what goes on behind his back.
So you felt sorry for Mr. Smith because you felt like here was a good guy being taken advantage of by my sister.
And you know good and well he was not the only potential father.
At this point, let's just say the battle is between the two sisters and not Mr. Smith. Let's get to the evidence part, shall we? Mr. Smith told the judge he came across a message that made him have more doubt about the child's paternity. This was the evidence he displayed.
The other guy said, I miss that kitty cat. And Ms. Hicks responded, you know he leaves, so you can come over anytime.
Yes, Your Honor.
You saw this message and you feel like she was definitely sleeping around.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Hicks, I have to ask you, did something similar to this come through your phone?
Just tell the truth, Ms. Hicks. There's so much evidence already. Now, Mr. Smith wasn't done stating his doubts to the judge. He claimed he could remember a time when he got home and saw a guy jump out of the window of his house.
Well, I came out the car. I seen somebody jump out the window, and I'm knocking on the door for like 30 minutes.
But a guy just jumped out the window, but you gotta knock on your own door.
Exactly.
And so wait, were you there when the guy jumped out the window?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I was in my car. I'm looking at him run through the field.
And it took her at least 30 minutes to open up the door.
And once again, she denies it. I wonder who is telling the truth in that courtroom. Ms. Hicks claimed that when she took a pregnancy test and found out she was pregnant, Mr. Smith was beyond happy about the pregnancy.
Took the first one, it came out negative. He was like, go ahead and take the other one so we can see the results of that. So I takes the other one while he's right there in the bathroom watching. And it immediately pops up that it was positive. And so he was like, I knew it. He was happy. So all this doubt in it,
and he
I don't get it.
Said he can't have kids, so he don't think the baby is his.
Well, the judge was not going to stick around to listen to their rants. It seemed like no one wanted to tell the truth, and so she decided to reveal the results.
Mr. Smith, you are the father.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. I'm so glad that I came here today to get these results so I can finally be at peace so me and my daughter can live with this man who I plan to marry someday. I really love him.
This was her verdict. In this situation, Ms. Collins dragged the defendant, Mr. Stone, to court with so much anger and disappointment in her heart. She claimed one day of bliss became a lifetime of hell and is now in court to prove that he is the biological father of her 4-year-old daughter. She began with this statement.
Me and Mr. Stone met on a dating site. I seen his profile. I thought he was kind of handsome. And obviously he thought I was cute as well because he messaged me back. So we had a few conversations, text messaging here, calling there, until one day we decided that we will meet up. So on the day that we met up, we were drinking, we were talking. So he said, well, why don't you just stay tonight? You know, you've been drinking anyway. Why don't you just, crash here?
Did he go with the flow? Well, I guess she's paying the price now. Judge Lauren went on to ask Mr. Stone if he had ever intended to get into a relationship with Ms. Collins. As you would expect, he said no. Apparently they were messing around with other people, and no one was ready to be in a relationship.
We did what we had to do, but I was single, she was single. She wasn't the only person I was with. I wasn't the only person she was with.
Was this the only night you all were intimate?
There were other
I think there was another night.
There was another night, but this was the night where we had unprotected sex, yes.
So you having casual sex on and off?
Yes, Your Honor.
At some point you find out you're pregnant.
Let's just say they both remember how things went down in two different ways. Now, Ms. Collins claimed that the moment she found out about the baby, she reached out to Mr. Stone. Mr. Stone, however, told the judge that this was how he found out.
I mean, like I said, we only did it a couple times or whatnot. She gave me a call. I pick up the phone, it's her, we're talking. She's like, yeah, so I just want to let you know, I am pregnant. I said, okay, and she said, well, I'll just let you know, I'm pregnant, I kind of asked her to come hang out. I kind of hinted I wanted her to, come hang out. She said she was pregnant and basically she couldn't hang out.
Like I said, they both remembered things differently. Seeing that they could not get their stories straight, Judge Lauren then asked Mr. Stone when he realized there was a chance he could be a possible father, since he claimed Ms. Collins never mentioned it to him.
2.5 years later, she hasn't been crazy, like throw a brick through my window crazy, but it's like, you can't call me and be like, hey, baby dad. What? What? That's the first thing you say is, hey, baby dad? Like, that's kind of awkward. You know what I mean? So.
You did not know anything about this baby for 2.5 years?
Correct.
It wasn't that long.
Yes, Your Honor.
At this point, one can only ask how many guys she was messing with. If the results from the two men are already negative, could that mean Mr. Stone is the father? Oh well. The judge turned to Ms. Collins and asked her to defend herself. She began by saying this.
Prior to me meeting Mr. Stone, I had just broken up with the guy.
Right?
Which is my ex. When I found out that I was pregnant, I called both of them and I let them both know. I told him about my ex, but I didn't tell tell him about no third guy. I didn't tell him anything.
You told me you had a baby dad. You had a baby dad, but you had another dude that you were cool with.
As far as, I didn't tell him that, Your Honor. Like I said, it was him and then it was my ex.
Enough with the arguing. I'm pretty sure Judge Lauren is tired of these two, but one thing is for sure. Ms. Collins' story does not add up, even though she had tested the other men and the results came out negative. Mr. Collins was still not convinced he was the father of her child.
We show up, can't do the test for whatever reason. Don't know why. They say that they'll be in touch. So they get back in touch. We go back, well, I go back a second time. I drove all the way up there. Guess who didn't show? Miss Collins did not show for this test.
And then what's the last point of proof you're holding?
She suggested that we do a at-home DNA test.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't really trust that. I don't know if, I don't know. That's not a doctor.
Looks like Ms. Collins has not been truthful in the courtroom. What is her excuse going to be this time? As you would expect, Judge Lauren asked her why she was never present to get the DNA test sorted out in the first place. Her reply went like this.
Now the home test, too many times have I done attempted to come down there to take this test. He's not home. He's not answering his phone. Not responding to my messages or my calls.
Is there anyone listed on her birth certificate as the father?
No, Your Honor.
So how can you be so sure it is Mr. Stone's child?
My child doesn't look anything like. She don't act like me.
Well, I guess we know why the results of this case are very important to Ms. Collins. Now that all has been said and done, the results are ready to be revealed. Could Mr. Stone end up being the father of the child? Well, we are about to find out.
Mr. Stone, you are the father.
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't expect that one.
You truly believed you were not her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor. I truly believe that. But on the bright side, I'm not upset. I'm a little surprised.
Man, this lady in this situation was ready to bring down the roof of the courtroom. She wanted to prove to her ex-husband that he was the father of her child. But here's the catch. The ex-husband claimed he could recall when she cheated on him in their marriage. That being said, the court case began like this.
Miss Tant, you are disgusted that you had to drag your ex-husband to court to prove he fathered your son, Daniel. You are here to put an end to this question that has torn your family apart for more than 2 decades. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Wynn, you say that after your wife's reckless affair and lies, she became pregnant and tried to pass Daniel off as your son.
I don't think I have to spell it out. Mr. Wynn's marriage did not end in a happy ever after type of situation. In the beginning of their relationship, it was all roses and sunsets. After a while, things started to tip off the scale, and their marriage became a nightmare.
I met this gentleman that I went to school with and decided to introduce him to my wife as a friend of mine. And next thing I know, he's coming over, messing with her hair, supposedly a hairdresser, giving her all the comforts that I should be giving her. And I didn't feel that was right. And I spoke with him and asked him to back off. And I also spoke with my wife at the time and told her, this does not need to continue.
Wow, if I had been in his shoes, things might have ended differently for the other guy. I mean, why would you be messing with another man's wife in that manner? But trust me, it did not end there. Mr. Wynn told the judge that he actually caught his wife cheating, and this was how it happened.
One day when I'd come home, she wasn't home. My daughter was in her playpen by herself in our apartment. And I went and knocked on the door of this gentleman, and he opens the door in a pair of boxers and tells me, your wife ain't here. And Your Honor, I looked straight into the apartment when he opened the door, and there laid her red lace panties that I bought and paid for.
Oh, in his house?
In his apartment, right at his foot of his bed.
Of course, she was going to deny it. But trust me, the story gets even worse. Mr. Wynn went on to give another instance where he claimed his ex-wife, Ms. Tant, cheated on him. And trust me, it was even more breathtaking than the previous situation.
To our campsite, we camp. He ends up in our tent that night instead of his tent. And Your Honor, as we sleep in the tent, there's
excuse me, we only have one tent.
There's him, and there's me in the middle to divide them. Because this is my wife. I want to sleep next to my wife, not another man.
We only have one
Your Honor,
tent.
I wake up the next morning, and what happens? I'm against the side, and she's in the middle between us.
You can only feel sorry for Mr. Wynn at this point. Imagine constantly being told that your wife has not been faithful to you. That's just crazy. Here's another truth bomb that will leave you speechless. Mr. Tant told him about the baby 2 years after the child had been born. Can you imagine that?
So, I'm joyful. I have a son. I want to raise my son. I'm going to try to get back together and make a family out of it. I'm presently living in Florida, so I moved back to Texas, moved back in with her.
Daniel, I want to ask you,
Yes, Your Honor.
As you listen to this testimony, I know this is probably a little difficult to hear.
I've heard it since I was 3 years old, and I've heard it over and over and over.
And that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. When did you become aware of all of this?
Even their son got tired of their constant back and forth. But you have to hand it to Mr. Wynn. He was an amazing father to their son. Even with the doubts and Ms. Tant's cheating, he still made sure the child was raised right and well taken care of.
Did you raise him as your son?
Yes, ma'am. My dad raised him as my son. I took him under my wing. I made sure he had what he needed as he was growing up in life.
And that upsets you. You feel robbed of
raising my child, my family to carry on. My name stops with me.
And is that why you brought this exhibit today?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear from you. Please step over to your exhibit and explain what you've brought to court.
Now, that's just evil on Ms. Tant's path. All he did was do right by the child and she refused to put his name on the birth certificate? Come on. Now, what the judge was trying to figure out was why Mr. Wynn's name was not on the certificate when Ms. Tant claimed he was the father. Well, the answer to that question went like this.
At that time, why wouldn't your name be on the birth certificate as father?
I had it changed.
You had the birth certificate changed?
He was born and his name in the hospital was listed as baby boy Wynn. Chose otherwise because I was not going to have another child taken away from me.
Otherwise prohibited, not by the mother, but otherwise prohibited by the law.
As far as I'm concerned, Ms. Tant is guilty of everything. Wasting no further time, the judge could sense that the situation was going to get a whole lot worse than it already was. So she decided to reveal the results. And this was her verdict.
Mr. Wynn, you are not the father. I'm so sorry, Daniel and Mr. Wynn.
I still love him regardless. I'll continue to love him, even though he's not mine. He's mine in my heart, and I'll always be there for him.
With the look on his face, you could tell he felt very guilty for not being in his daughter's life. Mr. Matthews was present in court to prove to the defendant and her daughter that he is indeed the father, and hopes to make up for all the lost time he missed. He began his story like this.
Mr. Matthews, you say you've made many mistakes in your life, but the worst is not being a good dad to the defendant's daughter, Kiana. You claim that has caused her to deny you are her daughter's father. You are here to prove the truth. She biologically is yours. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Well, at least Mr. Matthews is being honest. The defendant, Ms. Shaw, however, felt very differently about the whole situation. She told the judge that a long time ago, she tried to make amends with Mr. Matthews, but eventually realized that he was a horrible person.
And when we went before the magistrate, he looked at me and told him that he never slept with me.
Yes, it was true because
you told the magistrate you had never had a sexual relationship with Ms. Shaw.
I would say that I was a womanizer and went in there and lied.
Okay.
Amen.
So when he told this lie, what happened?
I looked at him, I turned around and I looked at his wife.
Now that's something you don't get to hear every day in the courtroom. One thing is for sure, they were both guilty of cheating. Moving on, Ms. Shaw tried to continue her story of how he denied her in front of his wife when Mr. Matthews jumped and called her a liar by saying this in the courtroom.
She was married, I was married. She was doing her own thing, I was doing my own thing. And the way I looked at it is we both was having fun, we both was young, you know, and when she told me she was pregnant, I was too busy trying to enjoy myself because I wasn't trying to be with no one woman, I already had a wife.
So the point is when you stood in the courtroom with your wife and you said you never slept with Ms. Shaw and you knew you weren't telling the truth.
If you ask me, something isn't right with their story. I mean, if Mr. Matson was always going to their house, how did it turn into a big mess? Well, Ms. Thompson took the floor and said this.
I remember it being really uncomfortable, honestly. I felt like I was the stepchild. Like, you know, the way that he was with his other kids, he wasn't like that with me. So I wanted him to feel the way he felt about his other kids about me.
I did, but I wasn't really there either.
So, Ms. Shaw, I want to know from that point, you decided I'm not even going to be bothered with trying to prove that he is my daughter's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just like Mr. Matthews, Ms. Shaw also had fun with other men. Now, isn't that interesting? Anyway, Mr. Matthews then went on to tell the judge how he always took good care of Ms. Shaw while she was pregnant and still married to her husband at the time.
You had me rubbing your stomach and all that good stuff.
I had you rubbing my stomach.
Yes, you did.
Stop that.
And here it is, talking about bring me a fish sandwich over to the house.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, that fish sandwich is magical when you're pregnant.
Yes.
I used to crave those too. That was funny you said that. I said, nah, that testimony is true.
Yes.
On my God, did she just say 4 other guys? Damn, Ms. Shaw must really love getting her tank filled up to the max. Now, out of the many men Ms. Shaw had been with, her daughter told the judge that Mr. Matthews was the man she wished was her father. And this was her reason.
Oh, you did have a preference.
Mr. Matthews.
Mr. Matthews was the man you wanted to be your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why him?
It was just the way that I saw him with his other kids.
When's the last time you saw Mr. Matthews?
I was a junior in high school, so it's been about 14 years.
Your testimony is true. You've been a pretty bad dad.
Yeah, I was a terrible father.
Ms. Thompson went on to tell the judge that while she was growing up, she didn't enjoy her childhood because everyone around her had a dad, but due to her mom's lifestyle, she was left without one. Even her mother's husband at the time did not want anything to do with her.
Ever lead you to seek out the other?
No.
Well, you knew your mother's husband.
No, I didn't know him.
You didn't really know him either?
No. We tried to make it work for the kids' sake because we had 2 sons together. And after she was born, when he looked at her and he said, "She's not mine."
Now that had to be one crazy situation. Having all those men in one place at the same time, I wonder how she handled that. In the midst of all that yapping, Ms. Thompson goes on to drop a mind-blowing revelation in the courtroom, and it went like this.
A lot of the times I feel like he only wanted to be around me to be around her.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait, whoa.
Because there's a lot of times where she's like, oh, I talked to Mr. Matthews today, and she would talk to him, and I hadn't talked to him for 10 years. So how can you talk to her, but you're not talking to me?
I tried.
He only tried within the last 2 years.
Oh yes, they are. The way they flirted with each other would make one think they still had feelings for each other. Anyway, the results are finally in, and it's time to see if Mr. Matthews is actually Ms. Thompson's father.
Mr. Brooks is not her father. What are you feeling in this moment, Ms. Shaw?
That's what she needed. Be the father. He's not gonna be there.
Mr. Matthews, you are not the father. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Neither gentleman is her biological father.
She'll always be mine no matter what.
Were you sexually active with the other men?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Were you using protection with those men?
Some I was.
Some?
Wow.
How many other men?
3.
You have revenge sex with one of his friends. And did you use protection?
No.
And then how many times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times.
No one has come up with any money to do a DNA test. I've been ready, willing at any given time to do a DNA
Come up with
test.
any money. I spend all my money doing whatever she want to do all the time with the kids anyway. Where the money come from?
Ms. Hall was under some kind of delusion in the courtroom. She left the defendant and started to live with another man during the week of her conception. But she is beyond certain that Mr. Beaufort is the father of her child. Mr. Beaufort, on the other hand, claimed Ms. Hall cheated on him and he doesn't see her as trustworthy anymore.
Although you left the defendant and began living with another man the very same week your daughter was conceived, Mr. Beaufort is still her biological father.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, now furthermore, you say that you and Mr. Beaufort have now recently united and you hope to prove paternity so he'll marry you.
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Beaufort, you claim that Ms. Hall cheated on you and now you cannot trust her.
Yes, Your Honor.
The judge started with Mr. Beaufort and was about to take the courtroom down memory lane and explain why he had doubts about being the father of the baby. His suspicions of her cheating started when he had a family get-together at Ms. Hall's parents' house.
How we want to change things or make things better. And all of a sudden he's like, let's go in and grab something to eat. So I'm going in to get something to eat or whatever. And I'm like, where's Mary? Her sister's like, oh, she's gone. She went to go get some milk. She went to go get milk? What's milk for? We got food and drinks, everything. She went to go get milk for her sister baby. So I'm like, all right, that's fine. 30 minutes, 40 minutes roll by. The store is right there. 5 minutes, Your Honor. 5 minutes. I could walk there. I could have walked there and been back 10 times before she even got back.
Well, Miss Hall did let the cat out of the bag. On New Year's Eve, when she was supposed to be with her family, she claimed she went to get some milk for her sister's baby. Was that true? Oh, you can bet it wasn't. She went to see one of her male friends for over an hour and a half.
Paul, did you go anywhere else is the question?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Where did you go?
I went to a friend's house.
A male friend or a female
friend? It was
friend?
a male friend, Your Honor, and I was only there for 10 minutes.
Did you tell Mr. Beaufort that you were going to go by this male friend's house on New Year's Eve?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Is this a male friend you've ever been intimate with?
No, it's not, Your Honor. Not at that time, no.
Mr. Beaufort believed the man she went to see see was someone she had been sleeping with while they were in a relationship. Well, Ms. Hall had some truth bombs to drop. She claimed the reason he was calling her a cheat was because throughout their relationship, all he did was cheat on her with several women.
The reason why he's accusing me of cheating is because he cheats. He's been cheating throughout the whole relationship. I go through his phone, I find text messages to other girls, I find emails that he sent women on Craigslist for one-night stands. I've seen pictures in his phone of women in thongs.
Surely you're not sending people texts.
This the story right here. This girl.
Oh, trust me, there was a lot of truth to be told in that courtroom. In trying to defend himself, he claimed that when she went through his phone, they only started talking. Ms. Hall claimed she was happy she went through his phone because that's when she found out he already had a girlfriend while they were already in a relationship.
He still had a girlfriend when?
When I first met him.
So, bottom line is you all were in a relationship and you accuse him of cheating and now he's accusing you of cheating.
Right.
Mr. Buford, please finish this New Year's Eve story. I want to know how this ended.
Well, I'm tired. I done been over there with her family, listened to her dad talk, me and him talk about some things, get my stuff ready to go in the morning.
After he found out that she had another man on her menu, he decided to disappear. He claimed he didn't want anything to do with her. But a while after he disappeared, one of his family members called him and said, Ms. Hall moved another guy into her house just a week after they split up.
You got disappeared, so let me disappear.
And then what happened?
A week later, I got a lot of family in Canada. She must think she invincible or something. They called me like, oh, she got another dude. He's staying at the house now around your son and stuff. So I'm like, at work, like, wow. You would move somebody in the bed and stuff a week later and you just now met the dude and have him around my son?
So, Miss Hall, did
Yes,
you
Your
move somebody into the house a week after Mr. Buford moved out?
He started staying the night probably about a week after.
It was getting a little difficult to believe the things that Ms. Hall was telling the judge. She admitted that a guy actually moved into her house and was with her for an entire month. She was firm on the fact that they didn't have any kind of sexual relationship, but was that true?
Grown man moved into the house after Mr. Buford left, and you all didn't sleep together for an entire month.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
And you didn't just say he came over, he moved in.
Yeah, he slept in my bed. Yes, he did.
And so Mr. Buford just described how you come to bed. So I presume you were wearing flannel pajamas when the other one moved in?
I had on shorts.
Mr. Beaufort came prepared, trust me. He wanted to prove to the court so badly that the child was not his. He brought a calendar, revealing the period during which he and Mr. Hall were intimate, and also the period she was sleeping with the other guy.
That was the 31st when I was over at her family house. She disappeared.
New Year's Eve.
Exactly.
Okay.
She disappeared that night, that hour and a half. Later on that night, after 1 o'clock, it's January 1st, we slept together that one night.
Okay.
The rest of that time, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, she was seeing him, but he was already moved in by the 6th and 7th, 8th, and she was probably sleeping with him then.
Now Miss Hall found out she was pregnant, and when she did, she reached out to Mr. Beaufort. His mind was already made up that he was not the father of her baby, so he told her on the spot that there was no way he was going to accept the baby.
After this incident right here, after everybody telling me what's going on, this guy over my house, she called me at work a month later, talking about, oh, I'm pregnant. I'm like, hey, what you telling me for? The dude at the house already or whatever, she like, where's your baby? I'm like, how you sure or whatever? She's like, well, we had sex right before you left. Oh, well, what was going on with you and the other guy or whatever at the same time? So she's like, well, I know it's your baby. I'm like, well, where's evidence?
Their lies and deception had gone on for way too long, and the judge was tired of hearing these two grown-ups lie through their teeth. The results are in, and now we will know who has been lying all this time.
In the case of Hall versus Buford, when it comes to 1-year-old Alea Hall, Mr. Buford, you are.
And y'all owe my baby an apology.
Guys, now it's time to parent.
These two individuals were for sure not having it with each other anymore, bouncing from cheating to pathological liars, and now there's a baby involved. You can bet there's a lot of drama circled around these guys. I'm sure you're already buckled in, so let's get the show on the road.
Hands, you appear in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Shands was determined to prove to the court that high school love was the biological father of her baby. Mr. Hollis, who happened to be the boyfriend in question, believed there was no way on earth he could have fathered her child. It was a classic case of kids making babies. But Mr. Hollis wasn't going to make it easy.
Today, I would like to accomplish that Amir is the father of my child. He has been in my baby life ever since my baby has been 3 months. He's my first love, my first kiss, my first everything. And today, I just want to know the truth about. I want want to prove to him that he is the father of my child.
And so, Mr. Hollis, tell the court why you say she's a pathological liar.
I caught Desire cheating so many times, like, it don't make no sense.
The love story between Mr. Hollis and Ms. Shands started when they were in middle school. Things seemed pretty sweet back then, but things took a twisted turn when he found out she was messing around with some of his friends.
After middle school, when we hit high school, everything was going straight, like, her freshman year. But after that, like, when we had got into that one argument, we broke up, and then that was that. And she started messing with my homeboy, and she started messing with multiple people.
Your Honor, me and his was close friends once before.
They was, but they
used to come back and tell me that Mr. Amir, he was messing with one of my friends.
Mr. Hollis was no saint either. He was also messing around with some of her friends. Miss Chen said they weren't so smart at the time and didn't really know what they were doing because they were young. Well, Judge Lauren slammed her straight up, and trust me, she wasn't nice.
But I thought it was cool to go mess with one of his friends because he had slept with one of mine. We both had made a mistake.
No.
We both made a mistake.
That's not how it is.
All right.
This is really what went on. All of them would be at my house every weekend. His friend, that's the other guy that she messed around with, and they would be there all the time.
In no time, the courtroom turned into a kids' assembly, with both Mr. Hollis and Ms. Shands chattering. No, I didn't sleep with your best friend. No, he was my best friend. No, he wasn't your best friend. Judge Lauren was boiling, like she was made of lava.
This is exactly why you all need to be just out playing a sport, learning a craft.
Yeah.
This just sounds about silly. So you have revenge sex with one of his friends. And did you use protection?
No.
Now Ms. Shands finds out she's pregnant. There's no surprise there, if we are being honest. She picks up her phone and beeps Mr. Hollis's friend to tell him she is pregnant. Surprising thing, he's pretty excited about the baby. But here's the plot twist. She also tells Mr. Hollis she's pregnant too. Now that just starts to make a mess of everything.
Well, he was happy.
And so you also tell Mr. Hollis?
I told him, like, not as soon as I got pregnant. He ended up finding out on the street. But I ended up telling him. And I guess he ended up telling his mom as well. And I was telling them that it's a possibility that it can be him or the friend. I never told the friend that it can be a possibility with another guy. I only told his mother that it can be a possibility with another guy.
Fast forward to when the baby is born. Mr. Hollis is nowhere to be found. Not at the hospital, not anywhere. Guess who shows up to be with her in the hospital? The best friend is the one who plays the father role in the hospital. Mr. Hollis says he didn't even know she was pregnant or had gone into labor. When he found out, she wouldn't let him be around her.
In labor.
And my mom, I sent my mom there because I knew there was a possibility that my son could be the dad as well. He favored my son when he was born.
So wait, and so Mr. Hollis, you just didn't want to be there, or you felt like you weren't invited?
I wasn't never invited. Like, anything I ever found out about the baby, I found out about myself. Like, I ain't even know she was in labor. I had to find that out. Like, I was walking out of fourth period, somebody came to me and said, Desire had her baby,
Judge Lauren couldn't hide her irritation from these kids anymore. It was turning into a reality show for kids, and the judge was not going to have any of that in her courtroom. Things just kept going from bad to worse.
No, he didn't have his ID at the time. That's why he didn't sign.
He wasn't intending on signing.
At what point do you just say, you know what, I don't think you're the father, I think Mr. Hollis is my child's father? Do you ever have that conversation? Do you ever just come clean?
With the friend?
Yes.
No, I never even talked to him about it.
After all the back and forth of kids giving birth to kids, the moment of truth is finally here. It's time we draw the curtains on these kids' funny behaviors and find out the truth. Take a seat back and focus your eyes on the judge.
15-month-old Aiden Shan. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Hollis, you are not the father. I see tears in your eyes, Ms. Shands.
Ms. Weir was in front of the judge to complain about how hard it has been raising her child without the help of his father. She claimed that she was very certain the defendant, who happened to be her best friend, was the father, and she didn't understand why he didn't want to accept the responsibility. Mr. Wilson, the best friend in the picture, claimed she was running out of options for a potential father, and she's trying to pin the baby on him.
Where you claim that after one night of passion with the defendant, you ended up pregnant, but he is now denying paternity of your 3-year-old son, Ayante. You opened plead your case to prove he is the father because you are tired of raising your son alone. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Weir started off her story by talking about how she and Mr. Wilson became friends. As she could recall, they had been friends for over 8 years, and she sometimes saw him as a brother. But that wasn't the mind-blowing thing about her story. She claimed Mr. Wilson was no ordinary best friend, but a gay one at that.
Years ago, just, passing through the city. I was going to hair school at the time, and, I would see him on my way to hair school. We would hang out with each other, potluck. He cooked something, I cooked something, bring it over to his house, or he'd come over to my house, long talks, this is my gay best friend,
Oh, your gay best friend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Wislon wasn't denying the fact that he and Ms. Weir had an amazing friendship. They were fond of each other, always hanging out and going to parties. You could even say they were the real best friend goals. The big question on everyone's mind now was how they found themselves in such a situation after they claimed to be very good friends. Something had to have gone wrong somewhere.
We could hang out with each other. We had a good conversation. We like mutual things. And plus, I met her in passing because she did hair. My gay best friend loved getting his hair done and doing all that type of stuff. So, we just pretty much crossed in passing, whatever, together.
And you were dating other people at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
You were really good friends?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
It was storytelling time, and Miss Weir took the floor to talk about how things went from having a normal best friend relationship to a sexual relationship with her gay best friend. As she could recall, they got really drunk, and this was where things escalated and turned into something else. Apparently, Ms. Weir had feelings for Mr. Wilson from the very beginning, but never told him.
He had came on over, we got to drinking, watching little movies or whatever, and I ain't gonna lie, I made a move, and he didn't push me away, so that was my reassurance. Okay, maybe he want this too.
So wait, so hold on, wait, y'all done switched from the potluck to the potluck.
Yeah.
When did you start even liking him?
Oh, I liked him from day one.
The storytelling gets a little tricky, and the truths start to come out of their hidden sports. Apparently, the idea of Mr. Wilson coming over to Ms. Weir's house was a plan orchestrated by Ms. Weir to trick Mr. Wilson into having a sexual experience with her. Mr. Wilson had no idea what was going to happen when he went to pay her a visit.
Yes, Your Honor. I just thought we were just going to be chilling, like we always do. Watch TV, drink, just do what we normally do. She kind of seduced me. We started drinking. I got intoxicated. One thing led to another.
She seduced you how?
Basically, after she got me drunk, she kind of started filling up on me and stuff. So, and then, it went from oral, then it just went from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then the argument for the use of protection sprung up, and both Mr. Wilson and Ms. Weir were at lockheads trying to figure out if they used protection. Mr. Wilson claimed that he remembered himself putting on a condom before they kicked it in bed, but Ms. Weir smiled at him and said he didn't use protection, and she was very certain because he was very drunk.
Your Honor, I used the condom.
Mr. Wilson.
Mr.
Wilson, you did not.
I'm not going to go there.
You did not.
Your Honor, I used the condom.
Your Honor,
I know what I put on me.
Use no condom.
I know what I put on me, Your Honor. She's done tested multiple people. She's just trying to pin the child on me. I love her and all, my godson, but this is not my child, Your Honor. This is just...
Your Honor, I don't play the pinning game. I don't do that. It's just not me.
Mr. Wilson definitely didn't want to be the father of the child, so he wasn't going to hold back on any truth in the courtroom. He told the judge that while they had a one-time sexual experience, was also having other sexual relationships with a couple of other men. To make things even worse, she wasn't using protection with the men she was having sex with.
Were you sexually active with the other men?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Were you using protection with those men?
Some I was.
Some?
Wow.
How many other men?
A lot of them, Your Honor. She don't even know.
How many? Say it loud and proud. You said you're a confident woman.
3.
3 other men.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Wilson and Ms. Weir. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are not the father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Ware, I have to ask you. We now know that there has to be at least another man out there.
In this particular situation, it was honestly very difficult to tell if she had no shame or if she was just very wicked, because she definitely took things to an extreme level. Ms. Davis appeared in court because she claimed she was hurt by Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole didn't deny the fact that he initially accepted being the father of the child, but he uncovered too many facts that just couldn't allow him to keep claiming paternity.
Ms. Davis, you say that after accepting your daughter, Autumn, Mr. Cole abruptly ended your relationship relationship, you say Mr. Cole is the only man who could be Autumn's father, and you intend to prove paternity today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cole, you admit to initially accepting Autumn as yours and even signing her birth certificate, but now claim that Ms. Davis is untrustworthy.
Ms. Davis couldn't understand why the man who accepted her and her baby was willing to be the father and all of a sudden started to deny her and her baby. Looks like there's some serious trouble in paradise, if you ask me. She wasn't just hurt by the situation. She also claimed that Mr. Cole was the only man she was intimate with throughout the period. They were in a romantic relationship at least, so she claimed.
Angry, disappointed how he all of a sudden not claiming my daughter. He is the only man that I've been with since February.
So, Mr. Cole, you're not claiming the baby? You don't think it's yours?
Yes, I claim the baby. I still take care of the baby. And
you do?
Yes. Anything she asks for, I do for the baby.
From the look in Mr. Cole's eyes, you could tell that he had been through so much in the relationship. Ms. Davis claimed that they met at a basketball game and things kicked off from that point on. She found out she was pregnant, and it was like a dream come through for both of them. But nothing good ever lasts forever, right?
Numbers, and we had chill a couple times.
So you continue this relationship, and at some point you find out you're pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. After me and Adrian have sex a couple times in February, I have found out I was pregnant March 21st. I was 4 weeks pregnant.
All right, I want to understand this. You submitted a calendar to the court.
Yes, I also have a calendar.
That outlined your sexual relationship with Mr. Cole.
When Mr. Cole heard the news about Ms. Davis being pregnant, he was excited and didn't doubt the paternity of the child. But the story took a different turn, and it was no longer looking pretty. Mr. Cole claimed that while she was just 4 weeks pregnant, random people started to walk up to him and ask him if he was certain that the baby she was pregnant with was his.
Like a week later, and someone walked up to me. She wasn't even pregnant that long. And people were walking up to me saying that the baby might not be mine, you know.
Oh.
And then after a guy wrote her in her messages and was mad that she was pregnant. He wrote her right after she told me she was pregnant.
This text had come through where this man was mad because she didn't tell him and it could be his baby.
Yes.
Secrets can never really stay hidden, especially when you find yourself sitting in the courtroom with Judge Lauren. Mr. Cole found out that she had been intimate with another guy and that the guy in question was very upset that Ms. Davis was pregnant and didn't tell him. As you would expect, Mr. Cole confronted her about the situation and she denied it.
Or asking her questions about the guy, she didn't give me any credible answers that I could believe. So I was really having doubts and I wanted to go get a DNA test myself, but I couldn't really get one.
You couldn't get the DNA test?
They wouldn't let me because I had signed the birth certificate.
Okay, so that's what I want to get to. So, Ms. Davis, once you tell Mr. Cole you're pregnant, initially he accepts it.
Yes.
So you all are going through the process of having a baby.
Mr. Cole's doubt had flown up to the roof, especially when he found out that Ms. Davis was no longer trustworthy. His family even tried to convince him that he has no reason to Donut being the father because the child looks just like him, and so he accepts the baby as his. Ms. Davis then uploads a picture of her child, and the guy who texted her before then says, the child looks like one of his kids.
Picture on one of her social medias, the same guy who wrote her when she first got pregnant, writes her again and says, your daughter looks like my kids.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor. I did that because, like he said, people was coming up to him and asking him was Autumn his, and I just did a split image of those three and was asking the same people who does Autumn look like more, because I'm 100% sure that Adrian is the father of Autumn.
The moment of truth was finally here, but the air was thick with uncertainty. Mr. Dansby's emotions were juggling between love for the baby and the fear of a plot twist. Time to see what the future holds for them.
When it comes to 3-year-old Autumn Cole, Mr. Cole, you are not the father. Ms. Davis, would you like to finally just lay it on the line and tell the truth?
Evil kids on paternity court.
You should have been out a long time ago. You wouldn't have been able to live in my house growing up if you didn't keep a steady job. How long does the woman have to describe herself as something lower than the bottom of your shoe before you understand that she realizes that she did not do right by you? Look at her!
What do you think is the most beautiful bond in the world? Isn't that obvious? It's the bond between the parents and their kids? But some kids do take that for granted, and instead of being respectful to their parents, they just drag them to court. Unfortunately, Miss Scott was one of those, claiming her mother had eyes on her son-in-law.
She always touching me on my chest. She always patting on me. She always saying, you do more than I can't get my son or the man I'm sleeping with to do, to have me to come and do things.
God. What did
She even called even came out the blue one day to even come and get me by myself to come and pick up a tent for her.
Did you hear that? The son-in-law had it all prepared. But hey, Miss Scott McCrae's daughter was also here today to reveal all the dirty secrets the mother, lady, you can't be a little respectful? You're talking about the woman who has raised you. But poor Granny had some genuine concerns. Let's hear her out.
Miss Scott McCrae, why are you so intent on breaking up your daughter and her husband?
Your Honor, I don't want to break up my daughter and her husband, but my daughter needs a wake-up call. She's very intelligent. She has goals and she had aspirations when she was younger that I've seen her just lose total sight of.
According to the grandma, the Miss Scott's husband was nothing but a deadbeat, and she has been the one bearing the expenses of her daughter's 5 children. The plaintiff further states that he has no job, and he can't keep a job.
He's a deadbeat. He's not a good provider. He hinders his family more so, I think, than he can help it.
How does he hinder his family?
He can't keep a job for more than a week or 2.
He has a job.
When
he
did
just
he get
got a
it?
job.
Last week?
It doesn't matter
And
when
how long
he got
is he gonna
He's
keep
working.
it? 2
So
weeks?
Miss Scott McCrae,
How long is he gonna keep it?
Just let it be known, Mom.
Oh man, the poor Granny has just cornered both of them. Come on, how ruthless can you all be? Denying everything the Granny just told Miss Scott makes an effort to defend her husband. And this is how she plans on doing it.
your daughter and her husband decided that maybe it was more financially beneficial for him to quit his job, or if he was laid off, decide that he wouldn't go back to work so that he could take care of the kids. Isn't that a family decision?
Your Honor, not when you're getting evicted every 6 to 7 months. It shouldn't be a family decision. Not when it's getting every year.
Miss Scott, can't you see what extra length your mother has been going to make you realize that it was now high time for you to get financially stable? But instead, you drag her to court. How evil can you be? But hey, the granny also sheds light on the oh-so-silent husband.
My daughter has actually come home from the hospital and caught her husband naked in their house with another woman. He almost lost a thumb because of it. That's when I say no.
Okay, but if I forgave him for that, why can't you?
It ain't about
it's
not
my
forgiving
husband.
him. I just
Why
don't
you
like
still
the way
gotta
he
bring it
treats
up?
you.
Grandma had ears and eyes for her daughter. It seemed that she was not happy that her daughter was so willing to compromise when it came to him. To refute everything, Mrs. Scott made another allegation. Oh man, Miss Scott, you need to stop.
She comes to my home, the only name you hear out of her mouth is Toy. Toy, can you help me do this? Toy, can you grab this? Toy, can you fix me this? Toy, will you fix this?
Is
Toy,
that
can
true,
you come
Miss
and look
Scott
at this?
That's not true, Your Honor.
Oh my goodness.
That is so not true.
Ultimately, it all falls down to getting the lie detector test. Well, Judge Lake had witnessed enough arguments between both the parties. To end this family dispute, here were the test results, which were about to reveal the true intentions of the granny.
Have you ever made any sexual advances towards your son-in-law, Toy? You said no.
No.
And the lie detector determined that was the truth.
Yes, it was.
Assuming a sense of responsibility or facing a $5,000 cost is the ultimatum. Miss Power has initiated legal action against her son, Mr. Poyer, seeking reimbursement for overdue rent and utility bills. To address this matter, she has requested the assistance of Judge Lauren in hopes of bringing some maturity to the situation.
My son, he's lazy. I feel that he's lazy. I'm your mother. I try to do the best that I can for you. You cannot just want to lay around, not want to do anything, not want to help me, take care of the household, or help me pay any bills. You cannot talk to me like I'm one of your friends in the street.
It seems like Mr. Ponner's mother was the one working hard to provide for the family. And that was definitely a frustrated situation for her. Additionally, it's important to acknowledge that her son, Mr. Lazybones, may have some valid points to make about the situation, even though his attitude might be causing some difficulties.
I started to feel a way about certain little things, such as I'm at home and I'm watching television and you walk in the house. And now you don't want to watch what I'm watching, so I have to stop everything I'm doing and focus on what you want to watch on television.
Yeah, you do.
How is that fair?
Yeah, you do.
How is that fair?
Yeah, you do.
Considering that, Miss Power admitted in court to having kicked her son out of the house and not having spoken to him in 3 years. Miss Power passionately conveyed to the judge her heartfelt wish for her child to lead the best life he can. Now, isn't that a mother's love?
I love my son. I love my son to death. All I want is for my child just to grow up. But then it was time to come in here Mom, I didn't get paid this, that, the other. But yet still, you going in there to find your little roll up and your little, to do your business.
If the collaboration between Miss Power and Judge Lauren wasn't sufficient to motivate Mr. Lazybones, there's another individual in the mix who has her own perspective on Mr. Power's situation. And you know who she is? Yeah, right. The cherry on top defendant's aunt. Let's hear her out.
First of all, we both have a job. We work at the same place.
You do
Where?
have a job?
We have,
Tell me where.
I work at a marketing
Show me a
research.
pay stub.
I have many of pay stubs.
Where's your W-2?
I got my W-2. And I
don't even need to be up here. She just turned into
Oh, the classic worries of many parents, not just limited to any particular race. Concerns about their child smoking marijuana, evading subway turnstiles, and to top it off, a girlfriend they believe is a negative influence. But hold on, more information is revealed once the lip-pierced girlfriend makes her appearance in the courtroom.
Y'all make $150 a week. From what I gather, you live with your mother?
Yes.
You pay your mother?
Yes.
He pays your mother?
Yes.
Oh! So why he can't pay her?
Did you just state to this court that you're working and you are paying her mother a steady amount of money?
It appears that Mr. Power, aka the man-child decision-making, might not be the most brilliant, given that he pays his girlfriend for living with her, in exchange for paying her mother. I mean, isn't that the whole issue summed up in a bottle?
You should have been out a long time ago. You wouldn't have been able to live in my house growing up if you didn't keep a steady job. Now, what is very interesting to this court, and I see to your family as well, when you leave the nest, suddenly you begin to live up to your potential.
With all the arguments laid out on the table, it was time for Judge Lauren to mediate between the mother and son, as they had received enough guidance and advice. It was the moment for reaching a conclusive resolution, because it was evident that their ongoing dispute was leading nowhere.
I miss laughing with you. I miss crying with you when you need to cry. I miss holding you. You know how I used to play with your ear? I miss all of that. Hey, remember, I want you to do something. May I hug him, please?
You absolutely can.
Do you remember that?
What is the most difficult time in a parent's life? Any guesses? Well, let me remind you, it's the time when your kid has just entered his or her teenage years, right? I mean, dealing with the unpredictability of your child might make you walk on thin ice. And here we have the perfect example. Miss Coe ranting about her teenage daughter's tantrums.
I'm here because my daughter is out of control. She has an issue with authority. She doesn't want to be told what to do, how to do, or why to do it.
Give me specific instances.
Okay, from fights at school, hitting a police officer, not once, but twice.
Now, isn't that a Sweet 16 rebel yell? The mother had clearly stated about her daughter's wild ways. Yikes! She had another concern of her daughter's boyfriend being her baby's father. What? But before we go there, let's listen to some Yankee-style gang violence she got herself into.
You made a phone call saying, my mother and her girlfriend just jumped on me. You come mess them up.
I said her girlfriend just jumped on me, and I did have somebody come over there.
She made that phone call. Them guys, they loaded up. They came to my house. They bust out every window. They busted out my car. They destroyed my house.
Ms. Coe isn't just here to share her concerns. She was also demanding that her daughter attend parenting classes. Can this family drama get any juicier? Well, I wonder if that can give her any assistance. Rather than she should be sent to anger management classes. But before, let's hear her evil story.
Most children grow up with their mother, not their father. I grew up with my father because due to the fact she abandoned me when I was 2 years old.
I did not abandon you.
I was told she dropped me off when I was 2 years old and never came back.
No.
And the reason I believe this is because I haven't seen her until I got in my teen age.
Okay, so the resentment goes way back into the daughter's childhood. But does it matter? Because the mother did come back around eventually, and even now she has also some huge concerns for her. But just listen to the spoiled brat saying nothing but complaining.
How many people were there living down there?
They weren't even living down there.
7 people. Were you the only girl in this?
It was 3 girls. It was me, another girl that lived with us, and another girl that lived with us. Everybody was living there. That was the hangout spot. That's where you go, you running away, or you ain't got nowhere to stay, you gonna come there.
The mother, in a moment of honesty, approached her daughter's boyfriend, Larry, when she found out her daughter was pregnant. She suggested that Larry should get a DNA test, because she had to be truthful about the possibility that the baby might not be his. Such honesty. Clapping mom.
I move out to Arizona. She calls me 2 months later after I'm in Arizona. She says, Mom, I need you. I don't have anybody. And then she
You seem
still didn't
emotional.
want to
What
do.
do you feel?
The
It's
only
okay.
rule I had for
let her
her.
speak. What do you feel, sweetie? Tell me. You needed your mom? That's okay. We all need our moms.
But at least there was a ray of hope for the daughter, as she was indeed concerned about her own son. She wasn't looking for life for her son. Like she lived out on the street, exposed to the danger. Finally some sense that we all need in this case. So here's the boyfriend giving in his 2 cents for the baby mama.
I feel like from the beginning I knew it was a possibility, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying, he made me grow more, you know what I'm saying, since he been around. Cause my mom, she passed away. Once I told her about it, you know what I'm saying, she just, oh, that's my grandbaby. She buying him everything. I'm like,
So your mom...
She passed away.
With that being said and done, it was now time for Judge Lake to fill in with some sense of DNA reality and the teenage daughter's commitment to what she just claimed. So, here were the DNA results, which might make us prouder or not. Let's find out.
Mr. Boyce, you are not the father.
Yeah,
Yes, you are.
I'm still.
I know this was not the way probably any of you wanted this to turn out, because I can see it in all of your faces.
Buckle up, paternity peeps. This episode cranked the notch for most evil kids on paternity court. For this one, we don't have 1 or 2 kids against their mommy, but 3. All of them want their mama to admit to their ways, and today they're all here to reveal all of her secrets.
I was always the outcast of me and my 2 sisters because, you know, being the baby, I'm the youngest. And I felt like ever since I was born, I've been lied to.
And you always felt left out from your sisters.
What is the most instant reaction you can expect from the mommy? Nah, I ain't the anti-hero in this movie. Right? As soon as he said this, her eldest daughter interjected with another claim. Come on, ladies, just calm down. Y'all talking about your mother.
I was in 5 different homes.
How could I raise you when I didn't love myself? What was I
She
gonna
didn't
do
try.
for you?
I have
Wasn't
the
nothing
one
I could do
girl.
for y'all.
You didn't try.
Yes, sir. When I did try, when I did.
No, you didn't.
What do you mean that y'all don't love me? When I can do something for y'all, then y'all always, then y'all stab me in the back.
Ladies, let's get some order, ladies.
Since we ain't talking out 1 or 2, the mother had a handful of allegations for her kids. Now enter the younger Williams explaining to the court how they were neglected, not only by their parents, but also both sides of the family.
He treats me more like a daughter than he treats Lisa, but I feel that he treats Jamie more like a daughter than he treats me. Even his side of the family, they don't exactly welcome me with open arms.
So when you were growing up, you were told that he was your father as well?
Yes.
Miss Little considered it a valid justification, but the plaintiffs remained unconvinced. They squarely held their mother responsible for the estrangement treatment. All right, guys, we all make mistakes. Can't we just forgive her and move on?
Do you know who her father is?
I don't know. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest. Jamie, no. Lisa, no. Jasmine, no. I'm not for sure if James is their father, if he's not their father. Because I did me. I ran the streets. Okay, you can keep your slab remarks. I didn't care about nobody or nothing.
Indeed, the pain and bitterness ran deep in their family dynamics, marked by a notable absence of maternal warmth. Adding to their turmoil, Miss Little remained clueless about the identity of their potential father.
Can you help them figure this out? You say you don't know if James is their father.
Yes,
Do you know who are the other people that could possibly be their father?
I have a couple of people in mind. Like I said, I ran the streets, so I laid down with anybody.
The possible father gave his testimony, claiming that when he encountered the defendant, she was quite promiscuous. However, the response to his statement was straightforward. Sir, if you harbored any doubts, instead of dismissing them, you should have pursued a paternity test.
Do you believe you are these young girls' biological father? Do you believe that?
Yeah, and I hate to say it, and it's hurting me to say it too.
Come on now, when a little girl don't got her daddy, do you know what goes on in your mind? Do you know how much stuff you get out here?
The fractured family's fate hung in the balance on the outcome of the DNA test, for no one was willing to extend any forgiveness. In a situation devoid of respect and love, it was time to give in for some DNA reality check.
Ms. Lisa Williams, Mr. Williams, you are not her father. Ms. Jamie Mr. Williams, you are not her father.
Thank you, James, for what you did for me. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
Evil liars on paternity court.
He wasn't ready to settle down. I was promiscuous.
So
was
you
trying to have
you
something
made
I
the
didn't-
decision you were going to sleep around with anybody and then you're going to get us a son.
Right, I did. It was a dumb decision.
It's still the simple fact that she lied for so many years. So who knows if there's another man.
Miss Bryson brought her ex-boyfriend, Mr. McCarroll, to court to prove that he is the biological father of her 18-month-old son, Zylan McCarroll. While she admits to being intimate with another man, she is certain Mr. McCarroll is the father. Mr. McCarroll is skeptical and wants the child's name changed if he's not the father.
Miss Bryson, what is the nature of your relationship? You're separated?
Yes, ma'am. We're currently separated.
Are you working to get it back on track? Where are you all at in this?
We're not working on getting anything back in track because Mr. McCarroll, he has way and he wants me to be a like he is, and I'm not that type of person.
Mr. McCarroll, you want her to be a like you are?
Mr. McCarroll expressed regret for not bettering their situation through work and school. He cited conflicts with Bryson, like not being able to read or talk to his mother. Bryson accused him of infidelity when he didn't answer her call and implicated his best friend in the alleged cheating.
As you can imagine, that is a very interesting book. She upstairs with the baby. I'm downstairs, I'm trying to read. She come downstairs huffing and puffing. I've been downstairs too long. I'm too quiet. I'm reading the book. What you want me to do, man?
The reason I came downstairs, I heard him on the phone with a girl that he had currently slept with.
Bryson shared that Mr. McCarroll would communicate with another woman about their personal matters. She expressed feeling undermined by him. When she got pregnant with Zylan, they were separated and he was with another woman. Despite being with someone else, he would still make advances towards her. She deeply loved him and wanted all her kids to be his.
Your Honor, I braided his hair. I asked the guy that I was in a relationship with, could I do his hair? He said yes. He came over and was flirting on me, touching on me. Every time we speak on the phone, I try to call and let him talk to the kid. Every time that we speak on the phone, he always flirts. I never, ever cheated on him when we were together, ever.
You just cheat on other people with him?
Yes.
Bryson asserts that Mr. McCarroll portrays her as the guilty party, though he is the one who cheats. While she has cheated in the past, it was with him because of her deep love for him. Upon getting pregnant, she ended things with another man to avoid causing him pain. Bryson's dream was to have a family with Mr. McCarroll.
I wanted to have a family with him. I wanted to get married to him. Like I said, I've been with him since I was 18. I love him. Any man that I ever talked to know that I love him, okay? I wanted to have a son. I wanted to get married. He didn't want to give it to me. He didn't want to settle down. And I got it. And obviously ain't no man gonna be included in it because I haven't tried to even get into a relationship because I know I feel hung over him.
Bryson, after initially testing negative for pregnancy at a doctor's visit, later found herself pregnant. Within that time frame, she was intimate with Mr. McCarroll, who was seeing another woman. Despite the rendezvous, he later claimed he couldn't recall the encounter. Was it just an evil lie?
Mr. McCarroll,
yes.
Do you remember having sex with Miss Bryson on the 28th?
No, ma'am. We were having sex around that time, but on the 28th specifically, I can't say that. She might have been with that guy then. I have no idea.
The truth is, you all were separated at that time. You had another
Yes, Your Honor.
girlfriend you were dealing with?
Yes, Your Honor, yes.
Bryson believes Mr. McCarroll is the father of her son, Zylan, because he resembles her daughter and her 6-week-old child, whom she asserts is also by McCarroll. However, McCarroll doubts the paternity of both children. Despite these doubts, he's been present in Zylan's life, even cutting the umbilical cord and giving Zylan his surname.
When it comes to 18-month-old Zylan McCarroll, it has been determined by this court, Mr. McCarroll, you are not the father.
Man, case closed. I ain't got no more to say. Say no more.
Miss Bauman brings her daughter Kalina to court to mend their relationship. After years of deceit, Miss Bauman now claims that Kalina's biological father is the late Mr. James Stewart. However, Kalina doubts her mother's assertion. Mr. Stewart's son is also present, and he disputes the claim, wanting to protect his deceased father's reputation.
Why are these results so important for you today?
Over the years, I have lied to my daughter, and for the past 4 years, it's become very hard on our relationship. I used to be real close to her, And now it feels like I've literally tore it completely apart. And I need to prove to her that her father is James Stewart.
Kalina struggles with her relationship with her mother, uncertain about her mother's honesty regarding her life. For years, she believed Mr. Watson was her biological father. However, just before high school, she learned he wasn't while being forcibly separated from her mother and made to live with Mr. Watson.
I found out during the summer, I was forced to be taken out of my mother's house and go to his house where I had no contact with my mother. And then when I finally was able to go back around to my mother, she told me that he might not be my father and that James Stewart might be my father.
During a pivotal moment in Kalina's life, she discovered through a paternity test that Mr. Watson was not her biological father. This revelation shattered her trust, leading to feelings of betrayal and confusion about her mother's 16-year deception. This strained their relationship, with Kalina distancing herself from her mother for a significant period.
I happened to go to work one day, and Mr. Watson had recently got married. So he literally walked up in my house, and yes, he did come in there and take her. He told me, since you want to sit up here and say this ain't my daughter, prove it. I turned around and I went downtown and I requested a paternity test. The results came back, and I sat there and I told her, I said, I didn't do this to hurt you.
Kalina grapples with trust issues stemming from years of deceit by her mother regarding her paternity. Judge Lake discerns that Kalina's skepticism isn't solely rooted in the revelation about Mr. Watson, but also from an overarching doubt about her mother's credibility. Kalina's sentiment suggests that there could be more secrets lurking, further shaking her sense of identity.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you heard about Miss Bowman, did you believe that you all shared a biological father?
No, Your Honor.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
Explain.
My father has had numerous of women say that their children was his, and this came to find out that it wasn't true.
Judge Lake is probing the timeliness to determine the veracity of Miss Bauman's claim. While Miss Bauman insists she was working with Mr. Stewart's father around the time Kalina was conceived, Mr. Stewart counters that his father had already left the job by early 1994, a year before Kalina's conception. This discrepancy casts doubt on Miss Bauman's assertions.
That's actually a
Early
lie
94.
because he actually stopped working at that restaurant in February of '95. He would come in, do his shift or whatever. Then there were times that he wouldn't come in because he was a manager. He had me, I was right up under him as an assistant manager.
In court, Lillian asserts her son is Kalina's father, referencing a letter from Kalina's mother. Lillian has cared for Kalina most of her life, emphasizing her unwavering commitment. However, a twist arises when a new letter suggests James Stewart isn't the father.
Did you put this letter in Miss Watson's mailbox, Miss Bowman?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
And the letter,
And
too.
I did it because at the time, Mr. Watson, when I got back in a relationship with him, we sat there, we talked and everything. It was all discussed out.
But wait, what do you mean it was discussed?
It was discussed that Kalina was his daughter.
Angela admits she fabricated a letter claiming James Stewart was Kalina's father, leaving everyone shocked. Lillian and James are deeply upset, stating Angela has misled many regarding Kalina's paternity, which has significantly impacted the child's life. Where will these evil lies lead the case?
It has been determined by this court that James Stewart and Kalina Bowman are related.
Miss Brown believes her cousin, Mr. Travis, is being deceived by Miss McNair. She asserts that he's been misled into signing the birth certificate of Mariah, Miss McNair's 22-month-old daughter, doubting he's the biological father. Mr. Travis acknowledges his love for Mariah but expresses doubt about his paternity.
Your Honor, Mariah means the world to me. She's everything to me. She's my heart, she's my all. And if she's my baby, I want to be her father and be there for the man that I'm supposed to be.
So you love this baby?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Travis,
Yes,
and
Your
you are truly torn
Yes,
because while you love this baby and devoted to Mariah, you have some doubts.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Brown has submitted a video to Judge Lake to substantiate her claims about Miss McNair's alleged infidelity. The video supposedly captures Miss McNair frequently getting picked up and dropped off by various men. From Miss Brown's vantage point, she is able to closely observe these activities, leading her to believe in Miss McNair's unfaithfulness.
While Mr. Travis was away, you weren't dating
ma'am.
or sexually active with anybody else?
No, ma'am, I was
That's
not.
a lie.
Your Honor, she actually told me she had a friend guy she was talking to, and it was just
But we
it was
wasn't
just a
sexually
friend
active,
thing.
though. We was
But
not sexually
he's
active,
dropping
though.
you off at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and you claim you just getting out of work. Like,
And
what you
why
doing?
only men? Why not a friend girl? Why only men?
Miss McNair confronts Miss Brown about her perceived interference in her personal life, questioning why Miss Brown is concerned about her interactions with men. Miss Brown counters, implying that Miss McNair has multiple male visitors, especially late at night. This raises suspicions about the nature of these visits.
Yes.
So, Mr. Travis, what was the nature of your relationship? Were you all committed?
We was.
You were?
Yes, Your Honor.
Boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your
Serious relationship?
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
while you were out of town or away, Miss McNair, you were expected to be faithful?
I was, Your Honor. I had friends, but it was nothing sexually active.
Judge Lake presses Miss McNair on her late-night interactions, specifically questioning why they always involve men and not just female friends. Miss McNair asserts that she has both male and female friends. In response to the claim of late-night visits, Miss McNair adamantly denies these allegations, labeling Miss Brown as a liar.
Baby, do you have something that you got going on or something?
You're trying to put this child on my cousin when that's not
She's
his
his.
child.
She's his. Was you there when we was conceiving her?
No.
Okay, then
Your
how would
Honor,
know?
you have children?
Oh, okay.
I actually do.
How many months do you supposed to be pregnant?
Well, this is what we were about to get into. I know that. And you submitted a calendar to the court because you say the timeline is off.
Ms. Brown presents a calendar to Judge Lake as evidence, emphasizing the timeline discrepancies around the birth of Mariah. Ms. Brown notes that her cousin, presumably Mr. Travis, was away in December, but they learned about the pregnancy in early March, with Mariah being born in October. Counting back 10 months from the birth would imply a discrepancy.
You count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'd be 11 months.
Might as well be a year.
Which means the
You need to
window
mind your
of
business, baby. You need to
conception.
find you something to do and talk about besides me and my relationship, honey.
You've been pregnant a year though? Almost a year?
It just don't add up. It don't add up.
A whole year?
Whatever, Tierra.
I thought 9 months.
Judge Lake questions Miss McNair about the timeline of conception, given that Mr. Travis was away in January, which aligns with the window of conception for an October 3rd birth. Miss Brown is adamant that Mariah isn't Mr. Travis's child. Miss McNair counters by questioning Miss Brown's intentions and asserts she knows the identity of her child's father.
Mr. Travis, you are not the father.
I'm sorry.
Miss McKinney is in court to prove to her husband that he is the biological father of their 11-month-old daughter, Mariah. Brown doubts his paternity after discovering a sex tape of his wife with another man and believes the other man is the father. Miss McKinney feels that looks are irrelevant in determining paternity, emphasizing the importance of DNA evidence.
Ms. McKinney, tell us why this court date is so important to you.
He's denying the fact that that's his daughter, and it's not about looks, it's about DNA. And I'm here today to prove and show that he is the father of Amira Brown.
Mr. Brown discovered an explicit video on Miss McKinney's phone. He briefly watched it and, disturbed, closed it. Miss McKinney admitted to meeting the man from the video on a dating site during an off period with Mr. Brown. The court questions her about her choices.
How do you end up with another man doing a sex tape?
At the time, me and Mr. Brown was off and on.
How did you meet the other man?
I met him on a dating website. We started talking online, and then I finally met him in person, and he came to my house.
So how often were you sexually active with this man?
10 times.
Mr. Fowler met Miss McKinney on a dating site. The day they met in person, Mr. Brown was present, but they were not together. Fowler and McKinney began a sexual relationship. He believed she had ended her relationship with Mr. Brown. The timeline indicates they had an affair for almost a year.
So you started having unprotected sex with Ms. McKinney.
Yes.
And you all had sex all of 2016.
Correct.
When did you find out she was pregnant?
Well, me and Miss McKinney met up, and she told me she was pregnant in June of 2017.
Mr. Brown and Miss McKinney were intimate around April and May of 2017. Emriah was born in April of 2018 due to complications, although her original due date was April 23, 2018. Mr. Brown found out Ms. McKinney was pregnant in July.
When you found out, did you say, oh, I'm so excited, or did you say, is this my child?
First, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm excited. And then when we went to the hospital back in September, they would say she was 11 weeks pregnant. And then when they told her the due date,
It was 12 weeks.
Yeah, 12 weeks. 12 weeks pregnant, actually. She said it was complicated. I just felt like something wasn't right.
When McKinney was given the due date of April 23rd for Emriah's birth, Mr. Brown felt something was off about the pregnancy. When she told him she was pregnant, he was aware she had been intimate with another man. At Emriah's birth, Mr. Brown was present but did not sign the birth certificate because he believed Emriah didn't resemble him.
Mr. Fowler, you are not the father.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
I have been in tears for the last 2 years trying to meet my daughter, and she has never let me once talk to her or see her. Fake Facebook account just to see pictures of Elena.
I'm afraid that if he does get to see my daughter, that he can run off with her, and there's nothing I can do to get her back.
Here we go, folks. Another wild ride on paternity court. Today's case is a real doozy with a mom who's been lying through her teeth for the past 30 years. Mr. Haggerty has been raising a daughter he thought was his own for nearly 3 decades. But now, his baby mama, Ms. Davis, is dropping a bombshell. He's not the dad.
Mr. Haggerty, you've opened your case in hopes of saving your relationship with your daughter. She has distanced herself from you, and you claim it's because her mother recently lied and claimed you are not her father. You plan to prove today what you've known for the last 30 years. You are her daddy. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Haggerty is pleading his case, saying he's been the best dad he could be to Wanda. And Wanda's backing him up, saying he's been the only father she's ever known. But Ms. Davis is throwing a curveball, claiming Mr. Haggerty was just a playmate and that the real dad is some other guy. Ouch! That's gotta sting!
Why do you say Ms. Davis is a liar?
She lied to me, she lied to my daughter. When she first got pregnant, she said I was the dad. And after 29 years, I come to find out now that I'm not the father.
You've raised this beautiful young woman, and you've thought of her as your daughter and nothing else.
For the whole 29 years, yes, Your Honor.
But wait, there's more. Ms. Davis's own sister, Carolyn, steps up to the plate, saying that back in the day, Ms. Davis told the whole family that Mr. Haggerty was the dad. So now we've got a classic case of he said, she said, and it's anyone's guess who's telling the truth.
Yes, and she just thinks it's fun and cute, and it's not. What's cute about not knowing who your father is or lying to your daughter that you say that you're supposed to love? If you loved me, you wouldn't play games with me from jump. Or this man.
So you grew up believing Mr. Haggerty was your biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wanda's emotions are running high, and you can see the pain in her eyes. She's been lied to her whole life, and now she's left wondering who her real dad is. It's heartbreaking to watch, folks. And Mr. Haggerty is just as devastated, realizing that the little girl he's loved and raised may not be his after all.
My sister called me. She said me and Craig just got through doing, and she said I'm pregnant. And she told me and our family that Craig was Marzella's father.
Mr. Haggerty?
Mr. Haggerty.
She said it?
She said it.
She didn't name anybody else?
She didn't name no one else but Craig Haggerty.
But the plot thickens even more when Wanda reveals that there's another man who's been claiming to be her dad. Apparently, this guy showed up out of the blue, crying and saying he's her father. Wanda's even been spending time with him, and he's been checking in on the kids.
Why are you crying? Like, who are you? I don't know you. Why are you crying? Why are you looking at me just crying? And he was like, you don't know who I am? He was like, I'm your father. I'm like,
how old were you?
I was 19 years old, Your Honor. And I was like, yes, Your Honor. Yes. He was calling me, he was checking on the kids, and when he showed me this picture of his mom.
Now, Ms. Davis is finally fessing up to her lies, admitting that she told Mr. Haggerty he was the dad, even though she knew the truth all along. And get this, she says she did it because she really wanted a baby with Mr. Haggerty, but had 4 miscarriages. Wow, talk about desperate measures.
The thing about it, back then, I had a boyfriend and he had a girlfriend.
So now, was your boyfriend the gentleman that came to Miss Wandick, your daughter, crying?
Yes.
So
yes.
it's that man?
Yes. And Marzella was already conceived in my belly when I was playing with Mr. Haggerty.
The judge is trying to make sense of it all, and you can see the frustration on her face. She's got a daughter who's been lied to her whole life, a dad who's been robbed of his fatherhood, and a mom who's clearly got some serious issues. This is a mess of epic proportions, folks.
You've testified in court today that you were proud to be Ms. Wandick's father.
Yes.
It's something you cherished, a relationship you valued.
Yes.
She said you were a wonderful father to her.
Right.
So the truth is, your commitment to this young woman was truly about love and about the belief that you were her father, even though you had no legal claim.
Yes.
And just when you think it can't get any crazier, the judge drops a bombshell. The birth certificate lists the other guy as the father, not Mr. Haggerty. So it seems Ms. Davis has been playing a twisted game of paternity keep-away for decades. Unbelievable.
Money. When this other man accumulated all this money, that's when she would say, that's who really your dad is. You need to get some money from him. So it was all about the money, because that's when she told me.
So when was this?
This was back in 2016, Your Honor. Other than that, she hasn't said anything about this other man being my dad.
As the episode comes to a close, we're left with more questions than answers. Who's the real dad? What's Ms. Davis's deal? And how will this all play out for Wanda and Mr. Haggerty? One thing's for sure, the DNA test resultats are in, and everyone is about to get some clarity.
Mr. Haggerty, you are not the father. Miss Wandick, are you okay, honey?
Something that could have been settled 29 years ago.
It's okay, I'm always gonna be there for you.
Well, 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 if it isn't another juicy case from the one and only paternity court, today we're diving into the twisted tale of a mother who just couldn't seem to keep her story straight. Get ready for some serious drama, folks, because this one's a doozy.
Ms. Bowman, you've dragged your daughter, Kalina, to court to save your relationship. You admit after years of deception and confusion, you now must prove to her that her actual biological father is Mr. James Stewart, who passed away 18 years ago. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's set the scene. Miss Bowman had been lying to her daughter, Kalina, for years about who her real father was. Can you imagine? Telling your kid one guy is their dad, then flipping the script and saying it's actually someone else. It's a messed up situation.
I've told her that another, Mr. Watson was her father.
Explain.
It all started when she was little. When I first met Mr. Stewart, met him at a company that I worked with, and we started working, became friends and everything, real close. We became sexual. It got to where I found out there was somebody else.
Now, the plot thickens when Kalina's supposed dad, Mr. Watson, decides to get involved. He shows up at Miss Bowman's house and demands a paternity test because he's not convinced Kalina is actually his kid. Ooh, the drama! But get this, when the results come back, it turns out Mr. Watson isn't the father after all. Shocker, I know. Miss Bowman then drops another bombshell, saying the real dad is actually a guy named James Stewart, who's been dead for 18 years. Yikes, this lady's got some serious skeletons in her closet.
So when did you find out that he was not?
I found out during this summer, going into high school, that he was not my father. Wow. I was forced to be taken out of my mother's house and go to his house where I had no contact with my mother.
Now, Kalina is understandably upset. Her whole life has been turned upside down, and she's not sure who to trust anymore. I mean, can you blame her? Her own mom has been feeding her lies for years. But hey, at least she's got Mr. Stewart's son, James, in her corner.
So, Miss Bowman, take me back to that day. Your daughter was crushed. I mean, she says it just broke her.
At the time, Kalina had just came over to my house. She had just moved in with me, and I happened to go to work one day, and Mr. Watson had recently got married, and his wife, she told him, "That's your child, you go get him."
And let's not forget about Miss Watson, Kalina's supposed grandma. She's got her own story to tell, and it's a doozy. Apparently, Miss Bowman had the audacity to forge a fake paternity test result and stick it in Miss Watson's mailbox, trying to convince her that Mr. Watson wasn't the dad. Wow, this lady will stop at nothing to get her way, huh? Talk about a desperate move.
Since you want to sit up here and say this ain't my daughter, prove it. I turned around and I went downtown and I requested a paternity test. The results came back, and I sat there and I told her, I said, I didn't do this to hurt you.
And so is it your assertion that you knew all of the time there was a question, or you knew for certain Mr. Watson wasn't?
I didn't know
But the real kicker is when Miss Bowman finally fesses up in court. She admits that she fabricated that whole letter, all because she was in love with Mr. Watson and wanted him to think Kalina was his kid. Unbelievable. I mean, using your own child as a pawn to keep a man? This mom clearly has some serious issues to work through.
Put a letter in my mailbox with a piece of paper saying that James Stewart was not her father.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see that evidence.
I got a long letter about how my son, Kalina, her feet, his heels, and her blood.
You're saying that Miss Bowman put a letter in your mailbox?
Yes, ma'am. And Kate was born in January. She gave me the letter in February.
And just when you think it couldn't get any crazier, the court drops an absolute bombshell.
In the case of Bowman versus Bowman, it has been determined by this court that James Stewart and Kalina Bowman are related.
Mr. Matherson claims that his baby mama, Miss Robinson, is a compulsive liar. Apparently, she's been dodging a paternity test for the last 3 years, and he's finally had enough. He's convinced that her 3-year-old son, Jaden, isn't even his kid. Ooh. Let's see where this goes.
Mr. Matherson, you and your mother have demanded the defendant, Ms. Robinson, appear in court today because you claim you are not the father of her 3-year-old son, Jaden, and say she's been ducking a paternity test for years. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Robinson, you and your mother say Mr. Matherson is known and he needs to grow up and stop running from his responsibilities. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
But wait, it gets better. Miss Robinson is firing back, saying that Mr. Matherson is the one who's been MIA. She claims he's been trying to take Jaden back to Ohio without her permission. Yikes, these two are really going at it, huh? And get this, there's even another guy, Mr. Collins, who Miss Robinson is apparently dating now. Mr. Matherson seems to think he might be the real father.
So, Ms. Robinson, are you keeping Jaden away from Ms. Brooks and Mr. Matherson?
Right now, Your Honor, I am.
Why?
Because Tawana's not responsible. I also sent the threat that my son, when he got my son, he was going to take him back to Ohio. So, yes, Your Honor, I did not.
Yes, I was going to take him to Ohio to see my family if he was mine.
Now, the judge is trying to get to the bottom of all this, but these two just won't stop bickering. It's like they're speaking different languages or something. One minute, they're accusing each other of being money hungry, and the next, they're arguing about who's the real father. I'm getting whiplash just trying to keep up.
Mr. Matherson, what are you saying?
I wanted my son to be a junior. My name is no part of his name, period. That's for one.
Oh, so do you feel because they never considered giving Jaden your name that was somehow an indication that he may not be yours?
Your Honor, I didn't feel like I should have to give him his last name because at the same time, we was not married.
And can we talk about the way they're talking about this poor kid, Jaden? I mean, they're throwing around words like promiscuous and vindictive, and it's just heartbreaking. This little boy is caught in the middle of all this drama, and he's probably so confused. It's enough to make you want to reach through the screen and give him a big ol' hug.
I'm 100% sure I'm not his father because I wasn't even talking to Alexis on that level at that time.
Are you all in a relationship or are you friends?
Don't say nothing.
And we've been friends for 5 years. Okay. Since they've been knowing each other,
So you've been friends for 5 years?
Correct.
Okay, so now.
We're in a relationship right now.
Now you're in a relationship. How long have you all been in this relationship?
About 3 months.
But the real kicker is when the judge finally gets the paternity test results. Turns out, Mr. Matherson is the daddy after all. You'd think that would be a happy moment, right? Nope, these two are still at each other's throats. Mr. Matherson is all excited, but Miss Robinson is like, you're not on the birth certificate, so good luck with that.
Mr. Matherson, you are the father. That's your little boy.
Now, can we see him?
Your Honor.
Now, can we see
May I
him?
have that paper?
Now, honey, I ain't gonna get a copy of it. This was about to have that. That's what's going on.
May I have custody?
Partial.
Partial, full?
Partial.
Hold on.
Ashley Salvo is a young mom who claims she only slept with one guy around the time she got pregnant, a Mr. Gonzalez. But he's not buying it and thinks she was sleeping around with multiple men, including his best friend.
Ms. Salvo, you claim that around the time you conceived your 1-year-old daughter, Amaya, you carried on a sexual relationship with the defendant, Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today you say you desperately want to prove Mr. Gonzalez is her biological father because it will break your heart if she has to grow up without a dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's break this down. Ashley says she only hooked up with Gonzalez one time, and that's how she got pregnant with little Amaya. But Gonzalez is telling a different story. He says they were sleeping together for months, and he even caught Ashley's mom seeing him naked in the kitchen one time. Awkward!
He knows Amaya's his daughter, but he refuses to take care of him. I've never, ever had sex with any Hispanic man but him. I prefer black people. I don't like Hispanic men. I was intoxicated at the time. I was drunk, he came over, he got me at the right time.
Okay, so you had sex with him just one time?
Yes.
And get this, Gonzalez also claims Ashley's best friend had naked pics of her on his phone. He thinks this friend could be the real dad, but Ashley is straight up denying all of this. She says she's only been with 2 guys during that time, Gonzalez and her ex-boyfriend. Someone's not telling the whole truth here.
She knew I had a fiance at the time, so I used to tell my fiance I'm gonna go to the hair salon or something to go get my braids done, but really, I used to go to Ashley's house to go get my hair done and get a little treat.
And now, Ms. Salvo, you claim that this testimony is false. It's incorrect.
Yes, Your Honor. The whole part 6 times, that's ridiculous.
Now, the ex-boyfriend is a whole other story. Ashley says she thought Amaya might be his at first, but then she looked at the baby and was like, nopey, not a chance. Apparently, Amaya just looks way too Hispanic to be her ex's kid.
Were you using protection with your boyfriend?
Periodically, but not as much.
Consistently.
Yeah.
And so, is there any reason why your boyfriend's not in court today as one of the potential fathers?
The reason we stopped with contact because, he did help me financially when I was pregnant because at first I thought that she was his.
But the real kicker is when Gonzalez claims he saw some random Hispanic guy giving him the stink eye, and he thinks this guy wanted to be the baby daddy. Ashley shuts that down real quick, saying the guy's just been her friend since elementary school. Uh-oh, looks like someone's got some explaining to do.
She has too much of him. She looks way too much. The dimple, she has one dimple just like he does. The shape of his eyebrows, that's him. Her nose, I have a picture that I can show you that they're twins.
What is that you're holding, ma'am?
It's a picture of my daughter with her one dimple.
Jerome, will you please pass that evidence to me?
And let's not forget about Ashley's current fiancée, Felicia. She's been stepping up big time, buying diapers, wipes, and even a crib for little Amaya. Gonzalez says he's been helping out too, but Ashley's calling his bluff. She says all he's done is buy a couple of toothbrushes and some toothpaste.
If I had a picture of my current ex-boyfriend's kids.
Well, the only way to truly exclude a potential father in a paternity situation is a DNA test.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you test your ex at all?
I did test him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, and what happened?
He's not the father.
But you know what they say, the truth always comes out in the end. And when the DNA results are finally revealed, well...
Mr. Gonzalez, it has been determined by this court that you are not the father.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Can I still come around and see Amaya and help her out if I can? Because for a year and 4 or 5 months, she's been my daughter and she's still gonna be my daughter.
We've got a love triangle gone wrong, with a baby caught in the middle. Mr. Webb thinks he might be the father of little Elena, and Miss Forrest, Elena's mom, is desperately trying to keep him away. Looks like this is gonna be one messy situation. Let's dive in and see how this plays out.
You claim the defendant, Mrs. Forrest, left you for dead only to find out once you got out of a coma that she was pregnant and that the baby could be yours or her husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Forrest, you and your husband are here today desperate to put an end to this drama. You say you have no doubt your daughter's biological father is indeed your husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Webb has been waiting 2 whole years to get this paternity test done. He's convinced that Miss Forrest left him for dead and then got pregnant with his kid. But Miss Forrest is adamant that her husband, Mr. Forrest, is the father.
Yes, we was in love, but towards the end, I was on life support.
No, that's not how it happened.
As soon as I got out the hospital, I had got a phone call saying that she was pregnant. I heard it from my aunt first, but on my way to Illinois with my dad.
Now, Miss Forrest admits that she and Mr. Webb did have a fling, but she swears up and down that her husband is the dad. Mr. Webb, on the other hand, thinks Miss Forrest was cheating on him with other guys too. He's got some wild theories about her coming home late from work and money going missing from her paychecks.
She would get off at 10 o'clock. It would take at least 15 minutes to get home, but she would come in at 11 to 11:30.
It took about 45 minutes to get from where I was
So
working.
it was missing time and missing money.
Yes, Your
Where
Honor.
she was MIA.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
From where she worked at, and I know for a fact it took 45 minutes to get from her work
No,
to
Your Honor.
the house.
Uh-oh. It looks like Mr. Webb has some evidence up his sleeve. A letter from his mom saying he was on life support when Miss Forrest came to get his stuff. But Miss Forrest is sticking to her story, saying they broke up a few days before he ended up in the hospital.
They broke up like 3 days, from my knowledge, to like 3 days before he ever went into a coma.
No, Your Honor, I did not have
We were
any
fighting,
idea that
we
we
were
were
over,
split
and
up.
that was the
problems.
I had called my dad for a bus ticket to Alabama. 2 hours after I got off the phone with him, I had ended up on life support.
So this is a statement from your mom?
That is a statement from my mom.
Turns out Miss Forrest found out she was pregnant in August, but Mr. Webb says she told him it was September. And get this, Miss Forrest is convinced her husband is the dad because the baby was born in May, which lines up with when she was only sleeping with him. But wait, didn't she and Mr. Webb have a little rendezvous right before he ended up in the hospital?
Mr. Webb, how did you find out she was pregnant?
She had called me the day that I got out of the hospital. I was on my way to Illinois with my dad. I got a phone call. We had a discussion. She said that I may be the father, but then again, I may not be because she was back with Mr. Forrest.
Mr. Webb is really feeling the pain of not being able to see his little girl. He's tried reaching out, but Miss Forrest has been blocking him at every turn. She's worried he's going to take the baby and run, but Mr. Webb just wants a chance to bond with his daughter. The judge is starting to see that Miss Forrest might be a little too protective here.
My daughter was born on May 9th of 2013.
Okay.
And then you take it back 9 months later, that takes it to the week of August 26th through August 31st.
August 26th through August 31st, you were sleeping with your...
Just my husband.
The thing about it, Your Honor, is...
All right, it's the moment of truth. The DNA results are in, and the judge is about to reveal who the real daddy is. Mr. Webb is on the edge of his seat, hoping against hope that this is his chance to be a father. Miss Forrest, on the other hand, looks like she's about to have a heart attack.
As to whether her biological father is Mr. Webb or Mr. Forrest, it has been determined by this court that her biological father is Mr. Webb.